Good evening, beer geeks, and welcome to what's becoming an increasingly rare event, which is one of our beautiful live shows.
Hey, everybody. Nice to see you.
We're doing our best Bruce Forsyth introductions this week for some reason. Thanks so much for joining us on this, our first autumn live show. More about the seasons upcoming. This one is a celebration of my new book that I've released. It's going to be super self-indulgent. So to get you through it, and just for you guys, I brewed 4 special beers that we're going to be tasting through the rest of the evening. And Brad is going to be muddling through because he's recovering from the big C.
Not cancer.
No, the other one. There's 2 of them now. Sorry, COVID.
I did a bit wrong, mate. Yeah, I'm fucked. I don't think I have COVID anymore, but I'm struggling. I still feel like. Well, I can't. I'm well past the 10-day exclusion zone, but I am still pretty much housebound. Yeah, man. COVID cave. Welcome to Autumn Watch from the COVID cave. I'm Jonny Towers.
There we are. We've got somebody else who's been unlucky enough as well, just recovering from COVID.
Can you taste anything, Brad? Not really. I can taste a little bit now. Like about 3 days ago, literally couldn't taste a thing. The whole of last week, I lost my appetite because what's the point in eating or drinking anything nice if you can't taste it? So I just ate bananas the whole week, Jonny. Just bananas, mate. Like a caveman or a monkey man.
Such a rubbish thing to eat as well. Why bananas?
I like bananas. Bananas are all right. What's wrong with bananas?
You can't taste them. I'd go for something that's texturally exciting.
Bananas are texturally... No, they're pretty... Come on, they're all right.
I think if I was going to eat one thing for the rest of my life, bananas would be pretty low the bottom of that list. Anyway, yes, we'd love to hear your comments. So please put them in the comments box, and we'll flag up anything that we catch that looks interesting. Please chat to each other. We love it when that happens. People are already doing that, so that's great. And most importantly, let us know what you think of the beers as we crack them. We want to hear tasting notes. We want to hear thoughts. We want to hear untapped reviews. I want to see emoji. Can you do emojis in the comments?
Well, if there's only one way to find out.
Yeah, well, I've just seen one actually from Ken Beer Reviews. So yes, I want to see emojis. I want to see everything. Love the book so far. Thank you, Martin. Right, so let's get the first beer in the glass, shall we? Because I've been waiting for this all day. We're going to... Oh, I haven't brought up the drinking order. What am I doing? I'm so out of practice. Drinking order. Hey, there we go. So that is the drinking order. We'll be starting with Sunshine State of Mind. Oh, I've got a dented can. Followed by Golden Green, which is the Fresh Hop Golden Ale. Then Sunny Spells, the West Coast Dipper. And then Light in the Dark, our barley wine. Just a quiet little finisher there around about 9:30. So, best noise in the world.
Oh, it's very arty.
Yeah. I've got dirty glassware, Bradley. Oh no.
Oh dear.
Oh, that's embarrassing. The UK Craft Beer Forum will be after my blood. Right. So yeah. Sorry, what?
I'm pretty sure they are already.
Oh, probably.
Well, probably. Like a beer bandit. Trying to escape the hordes.
To be fair, I was allowed to promote this in the forum, so I hope we've got some people from the forum in. That'd be really lovely to see if anybody's joining us for the first time. In fact, if you are joining us for the first time, I haven't really explained how these live shows work, so I will very briefly while Brad sees if he can get any flavour from the beer that I brewed. So for tonight, it's going to be about 2 hours long. We're going to taste the 4 beers, about one every half hour, but we tend to accelerate through the first 2 and then slow down towards the end. And we'd love your comments on all of it. Questions, send them in, and if we catch them, we will. If not, we'll get to them at the end of the show, which is our Ask Us Anything section of the show. So anything goes, questions about us, about beer. I don't know, maybe about some news that's happened this week. We're open to everything. Sorry?
Fashion.
Fashion, yeah.
Why are you wearing a Budweiser hoodie, Johnny.
That's the classic comment, isn't it? People on the YouTube channel keep asking us why we're wearing Budweiser t-shirts, and that's because Brad's imitation of Budweiser is too good. It was too
Wiser. Drink craft beer. There you go.
Yeah, if you want us to answer a question immediately, you can use Super Chat, in which you give us a little donation, which goes to us running the channel and is hugely appreciated. And we will answer that question at the very next moment that we get. We won't cut a sentence short, but we will get to it as soon as we can. So please feel free to use that if it's a burning question, or you want to throw some support, or you just really want some attention. I've just seen happy birthday. Whose birthday is it?
It was my birthday a week ago.
Nobody cares about your birthday, Bradley. Here we go. It's Jackson's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
40th.
Great name.
What birthday was yours, Bradley? 38?
39, mate.
39. Oh, God, so that's you next year.
Yeah. I was, a lot of people know I was supposed to be in Amsterdam having a smoke and a pancake, but my girlfriend got COVID the night before we were going. And then we had to cancel a non-refundable holiday, which sucked. And then I got COVID, and then my computer broke, and then I decided the shittest week ever. But now we're drinking beer, Johnny. Wait,
you're supposed to be pumping the vibes here. What are you doing? Right. So this beer, obviously, we're jumping around the seasons. We could have done it in season order, starting with winter, but starting with a barley wine, I think we've all made that mistake once in our lives. And we're not going to go back there. But this is the summer beer. So this is with Lost and Grounded. I brewed it. It's a Czech Pilsner. So what we were looking for flavor-wise in this Czech Pilsner is loads of caramel, breadiness, honey, those kind of flavors from the malt. Hopefully some fresh grass, some lemon, some kind of floral notes, rose kind of notes from the lovely SARS hops. And then you want, because you've got some sweetness left over because of that sweet malt body, you want loads of bitterness as well. So that's what you should be getting. If it were me, if I were to do this again, I'd have amped up the sweetness and amped up the bitterness, just make it a little bit bigger. But hopefully you guys agree, it's pretty delicious. What are you getting, Brad?
I'm getting, it tastes sort of pillowy. I mean, like I say, I'm struggling with taste a bit, but I'm enjoying the mouthfeel. It's just nice to sort of drink some alcohol, Johnny.
Did you have no drinks during COVID?
No, not really. I just couldn't really. I just thought, what's the point? And it'd be a bit discombobulating to get drunk and not sort of taste anything while you're getting drunk. So
could be dangerous. You could probably neck whiskey like no tomorrow if you can't really taste anything.
Indeed, I'm not so hot on the whiskey front. I'm not sure I can drink dark stuff too much. Yeah, man. That, from what I can tell, that's a delicious Pilsner. What happens this season, Johnny? Why did you choose this for the summer?
Great question. So summer is weirdly, it's the time where we probably drink the most beer, certainly the most lager, but it's also the time when there isn't a lot of brewing going on. So a lot of my book is based on the fact, and a lot of seasonal brewing is based on the fact that we didn't really brew during summer. We did still brew a little bit, but unfortunately, because of the warmer temperatures of the year, that time of year, you're much more likely to get infections, such as lactobacillus, Brettanomyces, well, maybe not Brettanomyces, but definitely lactobacillus, pediococcus, the ones that basically make things really sour. So actually, it was so bad in Munich that the King of Munich, or the Duke of Munich, banned brewing from Easter till another religious holiday sometime in September. It's in the book. That's why I'm not telling you. I'm not giving you spoilers. Nowhere else really had that stringent a rule, but it was massively reduced, the amount of brewing that you do. And that meant you'd have loads of brewing in March and in October, which we'll get to in the spring and the autumn beers and the spring and autumn chapters. So summer didn't have a lot of brewing going on, but obviously lots of people drinking lots of delicious beers. So in the book, you know, summer's about events. It's about where to drink outside. It's about lagers. It's about shandies. There's a whole chapter all about shandy, which I'm very, very pleased about. And we discovered the cola shandy just in time. just in time for me to sneak it into the book. So that was exciting too, to put this mind-blowing thing in there. And then, yeah, so when it came to brewing this beer, what we were looking for was something incredibly sessionable, but not something really, really low ABV. I didn't want to go down that road because I wanted to brew a beer with real character, and something that was kind of true to the region that inspired it, I guess. So, we could have brewed something like 3.5%, could have even made a shandy, could have done a collab shandy. But, if we were going to do a Czech Pilsner, I wanted to do something that people recognize as a Czech Pilsner. The Czechs actually have session beers. What do they call it? The Czech session beers?
Water?
No, they had like a 3.5%. It's named after a certain worker, like miners or...
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I don't bother with those ones, Johnny. So
yeah, you do. We had one like 2 weeks ago at Pevo.
That's true.
Trying to talk yourself up there. lad. Yeah, so we went for a full like 12 Plato is sort of what they call it in the Czech Republic.
Josh M said glass blower. I quite like that.
Blower. Yes, glass blower, Josh. It's a glass blower beer. Yes. I love that people know that in the comments. Yeah, so those beers I think were about 3.5. They were like, I guess, sort of 8 Plato-ish, and then you have the 10 Platos, which are like the classic session beers, and then you have the 12 Platos. Weirdly, Pilsner Urquell is a 12 Plato beer, but it finishes fermenting a little bit earlier, so it is a 12, well, just shy of 12 Plato, but it's the same strength as a 10 Plato, which is something they talk about a lot on the tour, and that is in my brain now forever whenever I talk about Platos, but I don't quite understand it. It's just less attenuated. I saw an interesting comment come by, and it's gone. Where's it gone? Nope, it's gone. Oh, there's lots of people drinking the bloody green hop beer. What are you doing, people?
Stop this! We won't have a descent.
System to these things. I know it looks like chaos.
We've got a drinking order here, girls and boys. All right, Johnny. So in the summer part of your book, where did you visit? You went all over the place, right?
Yeah, summer. So, summer was a really interesting one. So this book was supposed to take about 9 months to make, but because of lockdown, it took a lot longer. So I started writing the book in April last year. And obviously in April last year, we weren't allowed to go anywhere. So I missed all of last summer and all of that travel. So this summer was a bit nuts. The most exciting thing that we did was we went to the Hannah fields to see the malt harvest in early August, because barley's harvested a little bit earlier than hops. It generally starts in mid-July with the early sown varieties, the winter sown varieties, and then the spring sown varieties get harvested a couple of months later, sort of late August, maybe pushing in September if you're a bit unlucky. So we got to witness that, and that was really great. And standing in a field of Hannah, drinking a beer made with Hannah, which was again Lost and Grounded, was a pretty special moment. I've got a photo of Brad loving it, in which I managed to completely hide his face.
Well, yeah, you did. You just didn't want my my beautiful mug in your book, did you? That was
your mug. Actually, maybe your mug doesn't appear.
I don't think it's in there. What was I going to say? There you go. You get a cheeky eyebrow. I almost look the same right now. I've got a different sort of barley coloured jacket. There you go. I just love this colour now. I think I've found my colour, and it is basically grain coloured.
Grain colour.
That's me.
Yeah. I'm into that. We also went to Pevo, which is a great new bar in London that serves great lager. So there's a photo of that.
Bloody excellent, actually. If anyone hasn't been there and you're in London, pop down there. A lot of us we can't go over to Czech at the moment, and genuinely, the experience I thought was awesome. I went to a sort of big beer tasting thing there the other week. Don't really remember it because I got quite drunk, but the food was amazing, and they've flown in loads of Czech brewers for some sort of Czech embassy thing. So it was a little bit like probably what do you call it? Like ambassadors and shit from the Czech Republic were there. So it's quite highfalutin. Then there was me eating some goulash in the corner. I think I burnt my mouth on some goulash actually. But there you go.
Cool story, bro.
Yeah.
You think you burned your mouth?
Well, I could have burnt my mouth on anything, to be honest, but I'm pretty sure I burnt my mouth.
Was the mural in progress when we were brewing with them? I did not make it to the brew day, sadly. So I only actually made it to the brew day of one of these beers. So all of the collaboration element was all done via email and phone calls. So we designed the recipe together. I signed it off. And then the only one I managed to get to was the Elusive one, which I've done a video of. We have got a video with DEYA going live in a couple of weeks as well. That wasn't filmed on the brew day, but we went down there to try it in tank, to check on it, and just to check out the new site because me and Brad hadn't been there. And it's quite the site. So we've done a video of where DEYA have come to on their great big journey. Was this book 100% Jonny or a collaboration tool? It was written by me, photography by me, and the artworks by an amazing person called Callie Jones. So Brad wasn't part of the book, but he was a welcome journey partner for about half of it. So I've put together this playlist, which I don't think I've made public on YouTube yet, but basically everything that me and Brad filmed while I was writing the book is all in a playlist called A Year in Beer. So you can see, all the adventures that me and Brad had still, but in video form. So yeah, this is my first solo book.
Your first one you're admitting to. You've written all those sexy sort of beer porn books, haven't you? About sexy people in breweries making beer.
Well, you joke, that does exist, but it's not me.
I know it does. You've read me some of your lines from it.
It's
you
a
pen name, don't you, Johnny?
It could be a pen name. I'll try and find out the writer of that, because they are well worth tracking down. Like the names of the books are literally stuff like Over a Barrel and stuff like this, but it's proper like brewery porn. And now the writer, she's moved over into distillery porn, which, if it's whiskey, is pretty similar. It's still got grain and barrels, so I'm not quite sure what she's mining there for more saucy.
Just brandy drunk people, just a different area of the market. She's just cornering all areas of the drinks, the beverage market. Love it.
Yeah. Right. Sorry, we'll just dig back into these comments again. The bar in London was called Pevo, Pivo. It's on Old Street, but it's actually closer to Farringdon. It's not in the Old Street kind of.
Yeah, it's pretty much Clerkenwell.
Yeah, Clerkenwell. Yeah. Cheers, Rusty. Love Two Roads. Rum barrel aged pumpkin ale. Yes, mate. We'll be talking about pumpkin ale later, because the brewery who I did the green hop beer make a great pumpkin beer. So great to see everybody's loving this beer. What I forgot to mention when I talked about it was that it's a single decoction beer. So it was only the second time that Lost and Grounded have done decoction, and they don't have a kit that's specially set up for it. So usually you'd have two vessels. One is boiling up wort and the other one is the mash, and you bring out some wort and some grain, boil it up, add it back in. But what Lost and Grounded have to do, and why it's only a single decoction, is because they do the mash in the mash tun, transfer almost all of it over, leave about 20% behind, and then in that mash tun they boil up what they've left behind. So they sort of decoct that, and then send the liquid across into the kettle. So it's a bit of a weird way of doing it. Traditionally, you'd use decoction to slowly raise the temperature of the mash. So it's not very traditional at all, and there's a slightly different result as a result of doing the decoction sort of afterwards. But I mean, you definitely get that sweet honeyed Maillard reaction, and I think like a really rich caramel kind of note that you don't get from just using caramel or anything like that. Lots of people loving the cask beer mini series, which is really exciting. I think it's certainly the biggest thing we've ever done. Do you think it's the best thing we've ever done?
I think it might be. I mean, New England was obviously an amazing personal journey for us, and I think anyone sort of following along on that, who isn't from New England would have their mind blown by that road trip. But since we've done that, hopefully our craft has improved a bit, storytelling wise, cinematography. Can I call it cinematography?
Yeah,
drunk sort of
I
steady
got-
photography wise, all of it, editing wise. Hopefully everything's improved and we've kind of like raised the bar a little bit.
Yeah,
it's
definitely the most beautiful stuff we've shot, which is almost exclusively you. You've done, particularly at Hook Norton, like the shots you got there are just unreal, and editing it was an absolute joy. Sometimes I just watch that intro over and over and over because I loved it so much.
It's real nice, isn't it? Yeah.
Although I will say, in the next episode, is shot almost exclusively by another cameraman, a third person.
Yes.
Which is only about the fourth time we've ever used an external cameraman.
Fourth time? Where are the other times? Are you counting YouTube?
Alex.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. I can't even remember what we used Alex for. Oh, Alex! French guy.
Alex. No, not French guy, Alex. Other Alex.
Other Alex. Yeah.
It's a terrible concept. These people don't know who Alex is. So right back at the start, when we were still at Jamie Oliver's, there was a great cameraman there who we used, took on a couple of ventures. We took him to Brewdog the first time we went up. He filmed our beer and burger matching thing right at the start, which is a terrible video, and I keep wanting to tear it down. But yeah, this is the first time. It was one of Brad's friends, a really, really great cinematographer called Jim.
Yeah, man, Jim Demuth. He is the head of Nowness Asia, and he's I can't remember what kind of artist he is, but he's a pretty big swinging artist guy. And yeah, got him to come and not get drunk with us for the day, and he like drove us around. He's amazing. He's great. We still haven't paid him, Johnny.
No, it's worth every penny. We do need to sort that out. Yeah, but also the reason I brought that up is because it's going to look beautiful as well, and obviously you'll realise there's somebody else holding the camera for once. It's not just on a tripod. But there's a really nice bit, like 30 seconds, that's me doing a bit of filming, which I haven't done for almost any of this series, which I filmed before Brad arrived. I'm not sure he knows about it. The little secret film I did. There's also a little section where Brad emerges from the deep blue sea, like some kind of it's somewhere between James Bond and Godzilla.
Oh, woo, woof! Oh, sexy. I was hoping you were going to say Jason Momoa as Aquaman and James Bond.
Nope, Godzilla. So sorry, I've had this comment up for ages. Content Steering asks, says, great series about cars. Did you think about a movie about the British influence on the world brewing industry? 100%. We have had plans. So the New England documentary that we did, we've always said we wanted to make more documentaries. We've got 4 concepts that we want to make, and obviously the world got in the way. We were supposed to film our lager-based one in 2020, and we do have a UK-based one, kind of London-based one, which we haven't got around to as well. But we will hopefully produce those, God willing. The world opens up and we can get traveling again and doing those. But I mean, British influence is everywhere, and I think weirdly you have to travel to recognize that, obviously. But it's only sort of starting to hit home how much American style brewing relied on English brewing. And in this book, actually, when we talk about the origins of lager, weirdly, that's also British. So although we didn't start drinking a lot of lager until the 1980s, when lager, end of the 1980s, when lager finally overtook cask ale or keg bitter as more popular. Bizarrely, we actually created it because the 2 guys that came over and properly invented lager, which is Sedelmeier from Spaten Brewery in Munich, and Anton Dreyer from Austria, and he opened the Schwachter Brewery. They came over to the UK to learn how we were making our beers so pale, and learned the malting techniques that we had over in the UK, which were ahead of everybody else, to do with indirect fire and using coke. They learned that, took it home, and then brewed the first. They both brewed Märzens, the first Märzens. So Spaten, it was Oktoberfest in 1939. They released the first Märzen, which was this pale lager, the first ever pale-ish lager. And Anton Dreher did it in Austria as well. He took the yeast from Spaten and made the similar beer. And then it just got paler from there, basically, till Helles was invented again by Spaten in 1860 something.
Didn't they have a cheeky cane that was sort of like a spy cane?
Do you know, I've been told that by so many people, but I can't find any historical reference to it. But yeah, the supposed idea is he had a cane that had a hollow cane, and he was putting either yeast samples or malt samples in there so that he could take them home and analyze them and work out what was being done. Another cool little aside is, so I think it was slightly underhand what they were doing, but most brewers would have welcomed them. But they made special friends with a brewery in Edinburgh, and for a little while in Edinburgh, in the early 19th century, there was a Märzen brewery in Edinburgh, but they had trouble propagating the yeast, so that sort of died a death. Anyway, that was a big old monologue. Sorry. Any questions? Any questions? Best cask pubs in London: Southampton Arms, Pembury Tavern, Cock Tavern, Old Fountain, Harp, the Dodo if you're in West London, God forbid.
I like Dog and Bell, which is in Deptford. That's where I go all the time.
You still haven't taken me, Bradley. Are you ashamed of me? You don't want me to meet your real friends? Is that?
That's it. Yeah. I'm too worried. You're not Irish enough.
Do you have any Irish blood?
I could do. I've claimed many things, Johnny, as you know.
You have claimed many, many things. It's true. Recommendations for pumpkin beer: Carbon Yams by Elusive. There's a pumpkin saison coming up from Abbeydale, which I'm quite excited about. I think there's also a pineapple weed saison coming out.
What about our pumpkin latte homebrew, Johnny?
Hey, well, yeah, if you want to make your own, we've got a very strong, very sweet, very spiced pumpkin latte recipe. Which, to be fair, Andy at Elusive, who sort of reviewed it for the video, still says he really liked. He keeps saying every time I try to denigrate it, he's like, "No, it was all right," which I think is strong enough.
It was definitely like a Starbucks crazy pumpkin latte thing, wasn't it? It was, as you say, incredibly sweet, and
it was very pastry-esque. Yeah.
No.
Have we had Bush apple? As in the German, the Belgian brewery, because there's Bush Pesch. Is it a barley wine with peach? Or a triple with peach? Or a quad with peach? Didn't know there was an apple one. Not sure I'd love it, but I'm into it. I'll give it a go. I'll try any beer.
Craft beer in Clerkenwell for cask. Jerusalem Tavern?
Jerusalem Tavern, old school. I have not been there in a long time.
I haven't been there in a long time either, but that's all I'm thinking right now.
Oh, that's not a comment. You actually suggested that.
No. Someone said.
Oh, right.
Was sorry, I haven't got the ability to click on the comment, but it was Carl Statham, who I think is
there we go.
the
Sorry,
brother of Jason.
I used to drink all the time there when I was going to university around those parts. It's a great old school boozer. I mean, yeah. Let's. Any other? Oh, we've got loads of recommendations coming in.
Sutton Arms. Someone said Sutton Arms.
Yeah, Craft Beer Co. I think is what you meant. Yeah, there's some great cask on there for sure.
Oh, I remember. I've got a story about Craft Beer Co. in Clerkenwell. The channel. I was that the first one that they had open or the second one? I don't know. It was.
I think it might be one of the early.
It was pretty early. I remember going there on my friend Owen's stag do and ordering a half pint of something about, I don't even know how many years ago, let's say 8 or 9 years ago, half a pint of something. I couldn't tell you what it was. It was strong and it cost £8.
Young Brad's mind.
My mind was like, what the fuck have I walked into here? This is insane. £8 for a half a pint. I was like, what is going on? And now that's,
Now you're lucky. You're lucky to pay £8 for a half.
Yeah.
So I've just moved out of London. That whole thing about beer getting cheaper once you're out of London is bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm paying exactly the same per pint, I tell you.
Well, I'll tell you what, Johnny. Next week when we head to Thanet in our video, you're looking at about £3 a pint, mate. There.
That is true, actually. Yeah, the cask at Thanet is very reasonably priced. That's true.
Hell
Maybe it's just
yeah.
because I've moved to another expensive place in the world, which
Could be.
Andy asks, having never had a barley wine before, noob. That word written down is funny. How long do I need it cold out of the cold fridge? So mine is out in a cool box. You want it around real ale temperature. You want it about 10 degrees. Ideally, you need one of those infrared thermometers, which I know Brad has now because of his super chill lowbrow episode. But yeah, about 10, 12 degrees. Ned Crow, hello Ned, says less than £5 a pint in Falmouth. Not if you're drinking Verdant, mate. I'm being told that where I live now is more expensive than London, so that figures. $7 for a pint of cask here. Where is here? If you're talking dollars, I'm excited to know if there's a Canadian or American cask pub. That's awesome news. I'm very new to the channel. Just wondering what the two of your backgrounds are. Were you filmmakers before you started the channel? No, we're not filmmakers now, if we're honest. But
I am a filmmaker, Johnny.
Are you? Congrats.
Well, yeah, I went to art school. I studied film. I studied illustration, animation, and film. And I worked in TV for about 10 years, directing title sequences for big budget TV shows and doing animations on them and stuff. Filming them even sometimes. So that that's
a bit of filmmaking.
I do that end of. I do the sort of sexy little bits. Coming up with a big story, that's more Johnny's forte. That he's amazingly as a self-taught editor. Your journalistic background, I think, really helps you tell a great story.
Yeah, I mean, stories always have the same format, the same kind of wave. Creating jeopardy, creating climaxes, cliffhangers, all that kind of stuff, and doing killer intros so that people stick around. All that's the same whether you're writing a book, writing an article, making a film, making a documentary, even making a sofa session like we do. We always try to make sure that there's something big at the start and something big at the finish, so that you get that kind of journey as you go through it. My background was as a journalist and as a writer, so I applied that to filmmaking. I'd always enjoyed photography but never been good at it, and now 8 years of running a YouTube channel will make you pretty handy with a camera, and hanging out with Brad will as well. I learned a huge amount about photography from Brad, which means that I can now do a book that is now all my photography, although Brad took 4 or 5 of the photos that are in there. And hilariously, when I showed my wife the first time, I was like, look, it's my book. And she opened it up and went, oh, Johnny, the photography is amazing. Look at that one. And probably pointed at one that wasn't my photo. So that was nice.
The photography, we haven't even really looked at the book, but the photography in it's great.
Thanks, mate.
We haven't really looked at the book too much yet. I suppose we should look at
I'm assuming most people here have bought the book.
Yeah, that's pretty, isn't it? Look at that.
Bit of buttercups in it.
Lovely bit of bokeh going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's great.
Just do this, and I'll sell books to the rest of them that haven't.
Where's that pizza pie from? Is that from Japes?
No, that is actually, that's not a photo of mine. That is a photo by Claire Bullen.
Yes.
The amazing beer writer and editor of Good Beer Hunting, and that she made that pizza.
Nice.
So she has a cooking column for Hot Burns Black, the bottle shop.
Yes.
She made a Chicago pizza for that, so I bought that image off her because I didn't have a good one.
There's
That's
Marcus.
a Brad special.
That's a Marcus. From thingy, innit? Does everybody know Marcus? Some people maybe know Marcus. Do you know what? I was watching the Adam and Joe show, which is one of my favourite all-time TV shows, and Marcus is one of the talking head guys on the Adam and Joe show in one of the episodes.
Is he?
From the 90s. 90s Marcus. It blew my tiny mind. I was like, there's Marcus. What's he doing on the Adam and Joe show. Crazy. No one knows what I'm talking about, but for me,
No, it's Adam Buxton and Joe Cornish, their show from the 90s.
Exactly.
Is it available on the internet still?
Mate, I think you can watch it on 4OD. Yeah, if you Google, if you go on YouTube, don't do it now, obviously, but after
We're already on it.
Yeah. Check out the Adam and Joe show. It's DIY. We are DIY filmmakers. They are some of the original DIY filmmakers. Pre-Jackass. Not that they were particularly jackassy, but sort of comedy guys. Yeah. Bad Dad ruled. Bad Dad did rule. He did rule.
But when you listen to Adam Buxton now, I think he regrets quite a lot of the Bad Dad stuff they did.
Nah, I still think it holds up. But yeah, he's got a very complicated relationship with his father. So,
Robert Reed asked if we're doing anything at BrewCon. We should have a stand, and we'll be doing tastings, and I'm hosting a panel about who would ever open a brewery, which gets increasingly apt with every day that goes by. I say should, as people probably know, I'm on the verge of having a child. So everything's up in the air constantly at this point in my life.
And we're building a brewery next week, aren't we, Johnny?
Yeah. What are you doing on Friday? Do you want to come build it?
Yeah, I might do. Yeah, if I'm my back's kind of recovered.
Yeah.
So I can put it out again now. Great.
I got a text from my dad going, do you want me to come down and help? And it was literally 2 weeks ago that he put his back out building an outdoor office for my brother. So I'm like, no, I don't want to be responsible for that. But yes, we're building a brewery in my garden, a brewery in a studio to put all the amazing Grainfather equipment that we have into it. Somebody asked a question earlier about that, so apologies. But yes, I was digging the foundations yesterday. I'll probably dig some more foundations tomorrow. And then I need to get it as flat as I possibly can. And then, the prefab, it's like super advanced IKEA, arrives on Thursday. So
minus a couple of windows because
no mate, got a call today.
Oh,
windows are in. The windows have made it over from Europe.
Great, man. I was thinking back to when I built a log cabin with my dad, and if you hadn't put the windows in, you basically, the one I built was like a Lego thing, and you had to build it up. So if you didn't put the windows in, you weren't going to ever be able to put the windows in.
Well, I was a bit like when the lady called up and she said, we don't have the windows, but we thought we'd send it to you anyway so you can start constructing it. I was like, so I put because the frames have arrived, but the actual glass hasn't. So I was like, what? So I just sort of like clip it in or something.
Fucking wacky, dude. Do we want to name and shame at this point, or we should probably wait and see if it's any good first?
Yeah, we'll wait until we name the company. But apparently that's totally fine to do.
Okay.
But there we go. So yeah, we're going to be building a brewery in the back of my garden, and then probably promptly demolishing a building in the back of my garden. Jagman, I don't know why you brought this up, but I'm doing an event at Beer Gorilla very soon. I should check my diary, but if you look on my Twitter, it's there somewhere. I'm doing an event at Beer Gorilla, and I can't believe I've forgotten what night it is. There were tickets remaining, but not many. So look that up. Right, next beer.
Yeah, man.
Mate, I didn't even put up. So as people who watch this regularly know, I do emojis for the flavors. So this was Sunshine State of Mind. I put honey, croissants, or brioche was what I was trying to do there. A baguette, lemon, and floralness.
Floralness, nice.
I think I got pretty close with that one. Do you know the easiest event we've done for this was when we had Omnipollo on? Because I think they designed their recipes by what emojis are already existing.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're now going to move on to golden green, which I think should be bread, trees, flowers, and apples. Brad's looking skeptical.
No, I was just looking at the tree, thinking it looked a bit like a broccoli from back here, but it is definitely a tree.
That's a tree, and that's my increasingly bold dome that you guys just got a close up of there. That's a tree, mate.
Yeah, I can see it now. I'm blind. My eyes look really red. That's weird. Gold and green. Tell me about the name, Johnny.
I can't, mate. So I wonder whether something got lost in translation, because when I sent over some name ideas to Andy, this wasn't one of them.
Okay. So Andy, the cheeky bugger that is Andy, he just totally changed his name of it.
He does, yeah, maybe he does watch these shows sometimes, so it's possible that he's in the audience going, "Whoops."
I love Andy.
Most
Andy's
of his are references to computer games or things in computer games. So it might be that golden green is a pun on a game or something.
Well, I guess maybe in Zelda you like swash the sort of bushes and then you get gold coins and shit, don't you, in Zelda? Maybe it's to do with that. I don't know.
I couldn't tell you. But yeah, so you can watch the brew day of this one. I was there for this one. Somebody in the Discord forum, our Patreon Discord forum, very entertainingly referred to it because I did some pieces to camera in the car on the drive up to pick up the wet hops. Referred to it as like beer lock, like the film, because all that happens in a car. I want to say that was hilarious. Yes, so this is a green hopped / wet hop / fresh hopped British golden ale. So this is a green hop or a fresh hop is a hop that hasn't been dried. So most hops that are used in craft, well, in all brewing, are dried hops. So you pick them off the vine, you pluck them, get rid of all the leaves, all of the animals, critters that are on it, and then you slowly dry them over what essentially a really big hot like hairdryer. Bring the moisture down to between 9 and 12%. And then, that way you preserve the oils, you condense them right down so they're easier to package and they'll last a bit longer that way. And you ship them out to the breweries. But for about 3 weeks while harvest is happening every year, brewers can use the fresh hops. And this has lots of benefits and lots of drawbacks. So obviously the drying process, you're heating stuff. So that means you're destroying some of the essential oils in those hops. You're destroying lots of lovely flavors. But the downside is that it doesn't last very long. So once you pluck it, you have about 24 hours to get it into the beer. And ideally, you want to do it in like an hour or two because they really start to brown so fast. I remember when we witnessed the brew of the 5.1, and that had been about 6 hours since they were picked, and they were already turning brown. Like, it was crazy how fast it happened. So what you can do is hopefully get more character from the hops, and I'd love to hear in the comments the hop flavors you're getting from this that you think have come from it being a green hopped, fresh hopped beer. That'd be awesome to hear because I kind of struggle to put it into words. And, when you're coming to taste beer, when you're learning how to talk about it, the best place to look is what other people are saying. So I'd love to hear what you say. I'm already seeing lots of really positive comments. People are loving it. Somebody's saying I'd have liked it better if it was actually green. And lots of people are saying it's different. Right, so we've got people mentioning GADS. Very, 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 very happy to say that GADS have just joined our Pro Patreon. So that is super exciting to see. I've been a long time fan of GADS, and they're now supporters of the channel. I don't know where the fuck we're going to fit that logo, but Brad will find a way, right?
Oh yeah, I'll find a way. Once my computer's fixed.
Once your computer's fixed, yes, buddy. So here we go. The flavor notes are coming in. This is cool. Sappy resinous. Let's see if I can get in some of that. Sappy's right. I think some of that sappiness, that kind of sweet stickiness is coming from... So although it's a golden ale, we also wanted to make something that had autumnal colours as well. So it's mostly Maris Otter base, which is bready and sweet and, really complex. And then we put some caramel malts in there to give it a bit of colour, a bit more body, a bit more sweetness, and to give it what we were hoping would be like a kind of, I don't know, sunset? Autumnal sunset kind of colour. I don't think we quite got it right, which I think is partly because it's not entirely clear. If that were clear, I think we'd have got the colour right. But it's very hard to make clear beer, particularly with the amount of hops that went in. If you've seen the video, there were so many hops so many hops that we had to transfer. We did the mash, transferred all of the wort over to the kettle to boil it, and then once the mash tun was empty, dug out the mash tun, put all the hops into the mash tun, and then transferred half the wort back over the hops, and then did a hop stand at 80 degrees. So that's how we hopped it. We didn't actually. We've almost boiled no hops. I think we put a little bit of hop at the start of the boil. But otherwise, it's just a hop stand at 80 degrees with 6 big old bags of sovereign hops. Sorry, I haven't even said what the hops are. So yeah, sovereign hops. Let's see what else we got. Whoa. Conkers, yes, and damp leaves. I love that. Mud, that's not one I'd want, but Conkers and damp leaves, definitely. I really get that.
The kids still play Conkers these days? I feel like they don't, right?
I reckon there's probably a mobile phone app that simulates Conkers.
Well, I don't think they give a shit about Conkers, man. I don't think they want to play it on their phones either. They're all over TikTok and whatever else these days. You know, MySpace.
What was your technique for getting tough Conkers?
I don't know. I never did any like sly shit, but people used to put them in like vinegar and like put glue on them and all kinds of crazy stuff. Maybe I don't know if this is an international thing or if it's just in the UK, but Conkers over here as children of the 90s and 80s, we would put them on a bit of string and then you'd like have them as sort of a pendulum and you'd take turns to whack each other's Conkers in a sort of duel to the conquer death. It was very much like jousting, but conquering. William the Conqueror.
We had a guy called William School. We made that joke.
Yeah, right. Everyone's probably made that joke. But it had charm, and it had a bit of danger. Like you could definitely get a conquer in the eye, like a shard of conquer. And I wonder how many kids are walking around now, like missing an eye that is a conquer injury. Probably 1 or 2. Not like
the flavor notes on this are amazing. I'm really enjoying this. Like lots of lots of words that are deeply inedible, but people seem to be enjoying it, and I think that's fair. It's got a really autumnal flavor. I really love. I think damp leaf, blackcurrant, hedgerow kind of notes to it. I think if I were to criticize this, I wanted it slightly cleaner. So I'd probably dial back a little bit of the caramel kind of character. And I've probably amped the bitterness just a little bit. It's really, really hard to get bitterness right with wet hop beers because they're straight from the farm. You know, they haven't been tested for the exact alpha acids, which is what gives the bitterness. So brewers are kind of guessing how much bitterness it's going to add, which is why a lot of them do it at 80 degrees so that you reduce the amount of bitterness. Because you can add more bitterness in. You know, you could add extract at the last minute. You could dry hop it a bit further, which won't add alpha acid bitterness, but it will add astringency and stuff like that. So, you know, there's loads of stuff that you can do to counter it, but once it's in there, you can't get rid. So I think we got it a little bit wrong. And the infuriating thing is next year we still won't know, because even if we use sovereign hops from the same field, the alpha acid will be different. So, but I'm really glad that everybody seems to think it's autumnal and all those flavour notes are autumnal. So autumn in this book is it's about the hop harvest. There's loads of stuff where I talk about the hop harvest. It's also about the apple harvest. So natural cider is something that I've really got into of late. I had a wonderful time visiting Little Pomona and Oliver's cider to witness the apple harvest, which is so different from the cider harvest as from the hop harvest. Like hop harvest is 3 weeks of insanity. Like we get people over from Eastern Europe because the Brits just can't hack it. They work for 3 weeks. They get up at 4 a.m. They work for 12, 14 hours, picking these hops, processing these hops, drying these hops. They sleep in quite shit caravans. And then they go home and they get paid pretty well. It's about £2,500 a week they're being paid. And, you know, it's seriously intense. You go to the apple harvest, particularly on a small scale, and it's, you know, I walked around Herefordshire with Susanna and James of Little Pomona, and every now and then they'd see a tree and they'd be like, that fruit's ready. So we'd get a thing called a panker, which is a long pole with a hook on it, and you shake the tree, and then you pick up the apples, and then like 2 hours later you'll find another orchard, and it's super chill. There's always picnics. At the end of the day, you sit down, you have like a harvest dinner. So I ate loads of cheese, crackers, ciders from last year, fresh apples and pears that we picked that day. It's just the most idyllic, beautiful way to live your life, compared to the slave-like onslaught of the hop harvest.
In the 1950s, Johnny, my dad was a hop picker as a child. He was, from a council estate in London, and that was their holiday. They used to go hop picking, I think, for maybe 2 weeks or something. Lived in a little hut, and he didn't get paid, but he loved it. He used to take me there every year back to Guildhurst to go and have a look at the fields and stuff. Didn't drink beer, but loved the memories of picking hops as a child. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, back then for the holidays, I mean, there were people that did it professionally, picking hops. There always have been, but yeah, probably you get lots of people coming down and they just lend a hand and have a nice time out of the city, basically, before you could travel internationally, really. A leafy hug from Wurzel Gummidge. This is
Gummidge. Oof. Do you know Wurzel Gummidge, Johnny, or are you too young to?
I know it vaguely, but too young to really know. Yeah.
Fucking hell, man! As a kid, Wurzel Gummidge freaked me out quite a lot. Where it could like pull his head off. I loved it. I loved the show, but it was super weird. They could all take their heads off, and Aunt Sally was like this sort of doll that came to life as well. That was his girlfriend. And then there was a guy called like the Crow Man or something. He was this sort of goth, horrible, like sort of wizardy, gypsy sort of dude that sort of seemed to want to kill Wurzel Gummidge and burn stuff. He liked burning stuff. It was weird, man. For a kid's show, it was pretty odd.
You couldn't make that. Kids shows used to be so weird. I love this story from Josh. My brother designed a game when we were children that was based on Conkers being currency that could be exchanged for physical labour and tools. He constructed so that I did all the work and he had all the Conkers. He's now a political philosopher. Right, there you go. And that's what's wrong with this country. My brother, weirdly, when I was a kid, I was really into geology, and my brother used to trick me. He scammed me. There was like a house like half a mile from our home where they laid their driveway with beautiful stones. My brother used to pick up those stones, bring them home, and pretended he'd found like amazing stuff in a field, and then I'd buy them off him.
So this driveway, Johnny, you're describing, was it crazy paving?
Was it what?
Was it like 1980s crazy paving, which is where people used to just break up different coloured paving slabs and then lay them sort of like a kind of jigsaw puzzle on their driveway?
No, it was like small. It was like gravel, but pretty gravel.
Oh, pretty gravel. Oh, right. Yeah. So that sounds pretty fancy. Yeah, like bits of quartz and shit. Nice.
It was. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, must have cost quite a lot of money. So they were probably furious when they just saw some like 12-year-old kid just nicking gravel from their drive.
People are really into crystals and shit these days, aren't they? Like, there's a whole
crystal
wellness industry around it.
Mm-hmm.
My girlfriend's certainly got different crystals that she likes. Are they crystal? I don't know if you call them crystals. I don't know.
They're crystals, yeah.
Amethyst and stuff. I remember my sister loved that when we were kids as well. Little geodes of like funny little crystals and stuff.
I was, those magazines that somehow still get advertised for kids, where it's like you get the first copy for like 99p, and you get.
Oh, yeah, I love all that. Yeah.
And then if you want to get the others, it's like £100 million.
Build a human skeleton.
Yeah.
Here's a little ear bone in the first. Yeah.
So yeah, I used to get those, but for
rocks.
Geologists.
So
God, I was a nerd. At least I'm cool now, Brad?
Damn. I think we need to do a craft geology show.
You reckon?
Yeah. We need to bring it back. Are you familiar with? oh bollocks, what's his name? The guy that's the train spotter that's gone absolutely massive in the last few months. Something bourgeois, his name is. I'll remember in a second. Pure joy, wonderful, wonderful little videos. He just films himself when his mate Gordon, who's a train driver, drives along, and he says, "Gordon's gonna give me 50 tones today," and then you'll see this like little train coming through, and he's beeping the like horn loads of different ways, and he's ecstatic. His eyes are wild with the sort of the majesty of this giant locomotive going past him, and him somehow commanding the noise out of it. It's wonderful, wonderful. In fact, what are you doing watching this? Go and watch Gordon.
You keep promoting other people's videos while we're trying to do one. Ian Williams says,
bourgeois. That's what he's called. Thanks, Matt.
There we go. So go watch that. And if you want to stick around, literally, we've lost 2 viewers as soon as you gave that name. Ian asked about how I thought it compared to cask. It's much, much, much better on cask. It's really a beer that's suited for that with the malt profile. Weirdly, I think the hops were a little bit crisper, the way that they presented, a little bit more brambly and a little bit less muddy, to quote somebody in the comments. So yeah, this was a beer that was always destined to be best on cask, I think.
That is half an hour talking about this, Johnny. If we're sticking to the schedule, we need to.
Yeah, well, we went over with the Sunshine State of Mind, and I've still got plenty of beer here.
Okay.
I'm not losing this one.
Yeah, I think not that I can taste it, but I think probably this would have tasted absolutely phenomenal in cask. It seems really like a format. Like you can't get anything more hyper seasonal than a green hopped cask beer.
Absolutely. My other favourite chapter is my cheese chapter, which you'll be pleased to know was read and approved by our friend in cheese, Ned the Sneb Palmer.
Excellent.
He even made several edits, which I just left in. Like he added them as comments into the Google Doc, and I just copied them in. Stuff like where I called something mature, and he said, sometimes called ripe. That was just a Google note that he put, and so I just put it in wholesale. And there's some other examples. The dude is amazing. We're hoping to do another show with him very, very soon. We've had a super chat.
Wow.
Super chat, Brad.
Blimey.
Thank you so much, KCJ Bomber FTW. Been drinking a lot of India Pale Lager from LA. Anything you tried recently that are crisp and light, but also super hoppy? I had a beer from Burnt Mill. It's a West Coast IPA. It was called Get the Gold, and it was fucking unreal. Like God level IPA.
Amazing.
And it was so good that I emailed Charles, one of the owners, and asked him for the recipe, and he very kindly gave it to me because we're currently researching West Coast IPAs for a homebrew episode. It was 30% chit, which is something you use for head retention, but it really fucking worked. And then they did something a little bit interesting with the hops that I'm going to have a little experiment with. But it was super crisp and light, but had just the tiniest hint of caramel that sort of hit at the same time as the hops. So it was the most bittersweet thing I've ever tasted. It was just, it was just so good. And I think lots of people, including Elusive, have had a lot of love for their West Coast IPAs recently. Get the Gold is the best one I've had in years, including our trips to America. It was just unreal. I think IPL is a great style. I really enjoy IPLs. I really enjoy a massive hop hit, but it's still crisp. I enjoy that a good IPL at around 5.5 to 6-ish can still be pintable. And I think there's a future in IPLs. We've got the cold IPA now, which is supposed to be this crisp thing. I don't quite really understand what it's offering that an IPL doesn't. But I'm a big lover of that style. I know it's a marketing term, but so is barley wine, as we'll get into in a couple of beers' time.
Thanks, KCJ Bomber, for the win.
Thank you so much, man. Really
appreciate that. Is it a big style in LA then? I guess.
Yeah, it'd be good to know if that's a thing that's happening over on the West Coast, if that's getting big. Tristan, totally agree. Camden IPL. I tasted it the day they released it. It was called Indian Summer, the first time it came out. And you just chow down, Brad. And me and my friend, we were sat there. It's actually, weirdly, it's the day that I met B. Berry, who made the wedding cake for me at my wedding and also did some videos on the Craft Beer channel and helped me with the recipe for the Imperial Stout brownies in the book. Indian Summer, it was 7%, and we drank 6 or 7 pints of it. And one of the funniest moments of my life happened on the cycle home. I lived with Rich at the time. We were cycling home, and he was just in front of me, and he was so drunk he didn't see a gate. So he rode straight into a gate and just went arse over tit, and pretty much landed on his feet. It was unlike anything I've ever seen. And I think time has probably enhanced that story, but it just gets better. It was a great fucking beer. It really was.
We've had a super chat, Johnny.
Oh, good.
I do agree. That was a great beer.
We would love to see you up in the Pacific Northwest. Again, in 2020, we were supposed to come for the Hop Harvest. We'd had the offer. We'd gone, yes, we'd like to take you up on that offer. And then the world went to shit. But maybe next year. Maybe in just under a year's time, we will be there.
Bloody hope so.
Filming that, I really hope.
I've personally been in the Pacific Northwest region before we started Craft Beer Channel, I believe.
Oh, it's just after.
Or was it just after? I went to Portland, Oregon, which was amazing. I started off in, right up in Vancouver, and then I went down on the Coast Starlight Amtrak train. So I went through like Seattle and Portland and ended up in San Francisco and stuff. But mate, Pacific Northwest was like just amazingly beautiful country. Just giant trees and just the woods, man. It's just phenomenal. I love Portland. It was great. At that point in time, it was, I think, the most densely populated city in the world for breweries. I don't know if that's still the case. Probably not. But it was amazing. Great donuts as well. Voodoo Donut was phenomenal.
I think that's all over the States now, because I swear I had one in Austin.
Voodoo Donut, really?
Yeah. Hector quite rightly asks, how does an IPL compare to a cold IPA? As far as I know, it's stronger. So IPLs generally are a little bit lower in ABV. They are, like I said, like 5.5 to 6-ish. So it's a proper IPA. You could even have a sort of dipper strength like 8%. I believe it's pretty much all Pilsner malt and sometimes even like rice and other adjuncts that you'd use in like an American lager, and then hopped to absolute buggery. That's all I've kind of gleaned. I don't think it's really taken off. I think a bit like brewed IPA, it's a couple of breweries did it, and everyone tried and were like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Sorry, I can't be more help. If anybody in the comments can explain, that'd be awesome. Why didn't brewed IPA take off? It's because it was a crap idea. It was
right.
IPAs with that level of hopping really work when you've got body to the beer, you've got malt character to the beer, or if it's a New England IPA, you've got loads of body and you've got complementing flavors from the yeast. So I think brewed IPAs basically were so light and so clean. A lot of what they did was just expose bad hops over astringent dry hops, particularly brewers that were more used to the sort of New England style and weren't so good at making really crisp, clean beers. So there are lots of delicious brewed IPAs out there, but nobody quite understood the style enough to make really good beer. So I had a couple of really nice ones, but I just think the concept wasn't quite right. Interestingly, Big Job by St. Austell, the double version of Proper Job, is a brewed IPA. They use amyloglucosidase, the the enzyme that was used in these brute IPAs to get them really dry. St. Austell have been doing that for years because they wanted to dry out their big beer. So,
big job.
Big job.
Proper
you
job.
Never had a big job?
I don't think so.
It's a great beer.
Maybe in the toilet. But,
oh dear. No, moving on. No.
Odd job. You know, that could be like a sort of wild beer they could make. Just brainstorming here for
yeah, keep going, man. Keep going.
I'm stopping there, to be honest.
Oh, God.
Jim, our third wheel. Someone said no earlier on to having a third person involved in Craft Beer Channel, but there used to be a third person, Jim. And I believe his favourite beer was Proper Job, wasn't it?
That or Oakham Citra, yeah.
Yeah,
he loved both of those.
Yeah, he did like both of those.
I mean, St. Austell and Oakham are amazing. We're very lucky to have them in the country, still making really good modern cask ale. You know, if there's one thing, I keep saying that, we've learned lots of things through our cask series, but I've gained a huge amount of respect for people that have just been quietly banging that drum, you know? Like constantly making great modern cask beer for a long, long time.
We have had another super chat, Johnny.
I'm on it. Jibba Aja. So many plans for more books. There'll definitely be another Craft Beer Channel book in the offing. I've got a personal book in the planning stages as well. And I'm also going to be contributing to a big book done by Camera, Campaign for Real Ale, that we're writing at the moment. There's like 20 authors, amazing authors. And that book will be out, I think, for next Christmas. But I'm only a 10th of that book. So it's a much smaller project. So yeah, lots of books. What I'd love to do is a second edition of Beer School. Because I think it needs updating. Thank you, Jibaja, for your super chat, by the way. Thank you. You want to do a second Beer School, Brad?
I'm making a kid's picture book about drinking. Why you shouldn't drink alcohol as a kid. No, I don't know. No, I'm making a kid's book.
Yeah.
I haven't got an idea yet.
Okay, so ideas in the comments for Brad's kids' book. I think the trippier the better, knowing Brad.
Well, kids' books are totally bonkers anyway, right? It's like kids' TV shows. They're wild. I'm a big fan of Hey Gabba Gabba. I believe that's what it's called. I say I'm a big fan. I think it's interesting. I like it. It's very psychedelic. If anyone's... Well, probably loads of people got kids. So an American show called Hey Gabba Gabba. I think it's called Hey Gabba Gabba. And it's just great. It's super weird. It's trippy as balls, man. It's proper bonkers. It could make it about my strange cat. Yeah, Jeff does look a bit like Oscar the Grouch or something from a bin. So that could be a good story, couldn't it? Like a weird Oscar the Grouch bin cat that nobody wanted, and then they came to live with hairy Brad. He was lonely, and then Jeff brought joy into his life, and saved Christmas or something. What do you reckon?
I'm just reading my book, to be honest, at this point. No, it's just somebody's commented, will the book contain a page 7? I was like, does my book not have a page 7? But it does.
Page 7?
Is this a joke I'm not getting? Explain yourself, Diddy 7250. I'm probably
maybe their version doesn't have that page. That's slightly concerning.
It's not, Jen. It's not a biography. I haven't earned that, and nobody would buy it. And also, with the very normal, very privileged upbringing I had, the first few chapters would just be like, "Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, it's fine." So I'm disappointed. I thought there'd be more ideas for Brad's book. Oh no! Here we go. A dragon drinks a tipper and goes on an adventure to find the last West Coast IPA left in the land. Interesting.
I like it.
Any animal friends?
I mean, is he pissed when he's flying about? And presumably he can fly if he's a dragon.
I mean, if it's a kid's book, he shouldn't be drunk flying.
No, it's not the right. It's not the right message, is it, Johnny? He might go flying straight into a gate like your friend, and then he could land on his feet, on his little tiny dragon feet.
We've worked out that Diddy was suggesting there's actually a page 3. You want Brad naked in the kids' book?
No, that's not a good idea. Who said that? That's terrible. Puff,
I mean, to be fair, we have had you in the shower in a video, and the video's done well, Bradley.
It has. Did really well, considering I had flu in that video. I've just always permanently got the flu or fucking COVID, seemingly.
I think it's because you exist on a diet of bananas.
No, mate, no. I've been eating pretty healthy of late.
Puff the Magic Crispy Boy. That's probably a beer by any number of New England producers. Here we go. We found it now. He could fly drunk, but it would go wrong for him, and that would be the moral.
I like it. Good stuff.
Brady Porter and the Crispy Boy. Okay, we're going to Pun Town. I'm into it. I thought you could survive on a diet of bananas and Guinness.
You could, 100%.
Guinness is full of many great vitamins. Most beer is, but we shouldn't be condoning that. Bradley, I've just realised I've forgotten the cool little thing that I showed you before we went live. So where are we? Here we go. This is the level we go to. So I should have had this up during summer. Although you can't actually see the fact that it's a really nice
I feel like it looks like a sort of Microsoft presentation now, Johnny.
I'm going to kick you off for a sec, Brad. Oh, no! There's the nice photo. That wasn't worth it. Now we're in autumn, so there's a dog watching a man pick apples. I had this all figured out, and I've messed it up, Brad. I'm annoyed at myself.
I find it too distracting anyway. We just get comments. It's a bit like what was the TV show where they'd unblock squares on a screen and you had to guess what was happening. It's like catchphrase, mate. You'd be like, "What's going on in the top right? Why does he look like he's doing a doo-doo in a bucket? And what's the dog looking at?" There's too many questions. Right. Oh, we've had a super chat, Johnny.
I had a gag that I was going to go. So you think it's good, but it's not right, which is the Lord Paul Bulrush amongst royalty. No, the landed class. Poem. Okay. Oh, right. So I'm going to read this like last time.
Hang on. I'm going to take a video of this.
Okay.
Because I believe Lord Paul Bulrush did a poem for us before.
Oh, so is it the same?
I don't know. I feel like it was. We had a haiku before, right?
Yeah.
I remember that Pat Sharp hair, so I reckon it was. Go on, Johnny, give us some bars.
Right. So I think this poem is called Poem, by the look of it, and this is it. Dear beer, for it does appear that I have gained fine scriptures of ye life in the year. IPA, pale or stout, good tidings to you I do dare shout.
Oh. Lord Paul Bulrush.
They call you Lord Byron, my friend. What a
as always. Thank you.
What a wonderful story.
For the super chat. Thank you for the art. Thank you for the music. It's lyrical.
ABBA's new singles on that topic, rubbish.
ABBA's new single, rubbish. Is it?
No, the song is rubbish. Yeah.
Okay.
We've waited that long for new ABBA.
Oh yeah, it's not amazing. I don't think it was rubbish. I think it wasn't like that good, but it wasn't terrible. The music video is quite impressive. But did you know that at the end they've like computer generated young ABBA singing the song?
Yeah.
It's kind of wild.
It is weird, but it didn't help the song.
No, but I also feel like it was totally unnecessary. Why did it have to be young ABBA singing the song? Why couldn't it be old ABBA singing the song?
I guess they were harking back to a simpler time when we were, people gave us points in the Eurovision Song Contest. We had HGV drivers, and ABBA were good.
Oh,
whew.
Laying it down, aren't you, Johnny? Not a fan of the new ABBA.
Really not a fan of you. I was so excited for it. I've started a debate about whether it's IPA or IPA. I said IPA because I just thought it would flow better in the poem. But if I've ruined the poem, Lord Paul Bulrush, I'm very, very sorry. Josh just wants more of the dog. That's fair. It's an awesome dog. It's called Joey. It's Joey the cider dog.
That's a kid's book. Joey the cider
dog could be a kid's
book.
book.
That's a fucking kid's book right there.
He loves apples.
Joey, what cider?
He loves apples, but he'll only eat them if you give them to him. Because obviously, if he was a cider dog and he just ate apples off the floor, he'd be eating your produce.
That's a good boy right there, isn't it?
Yeah. So he's a good cider dog. Sorry, I meant to say we have had some comments about about sexism in beer and the rows that have been going on. We are 100% going to address that, but we'll do it in the Ask Us Anything, because otherwise we'll be derailed completely. But we will answer it in the Ask Us Anything section. So please, we're not ignoring you. We will get to it. So I think it probably is time that we move on to the next beer, isn't it?
100%. Yes.
So I'll get this one out. I've already seen some people saying, saying what we all think, which is that it's slightly flawed in a way. So I'll leave it up to the comments to tell us in what way it's flawed, but it's still a delicious beer. So this is Sunny Spells. It was a collaboration with DEYA. Again, sadly, I didn't make it to the brew day of it, but we came up with the recipe, me and Gareth, the head brewer at DEYA.
So what season are we in, Johnny, now? So
now we are in spring. We're jumping around a little bit. So spring, the concept behind this beer and the reason that it's springy is it's something that I've put in this book, which I haven't really explored at all before I wrote this book. And it was something that came to me. So when I should start at the beginning. When Camera approached me about writing a book together, and I gave some ideas, and to be honest, they looked at my ideas and went, nah. And they came back at me with an idea, which was a year in beer. Literally the title saying, could we do something about seasonality? We think it'd be a really interesting approach. And so I was a bit like, I mean, that would be an interesting approach, but I don't know how I could write 60, 70,000 words about that. So what I did was I sat down and in an Excel spreadsheet, I made a calendar and I started writing down all the events, all the big releases, all the sort of seasonal changes that happen in beer, like hop harvest, stuff like that, about spontaneous brewing that happens in winter. And basically managed to fill this Excel spreadsheet with so many great ideas. But it still wasn't quite enough. So then I started thinking about stuff that people hadn't thought about. And one of those ideas was why is IPA Day, this international celebration of IPA, why is that in summer? Isn't that the worst fucking time to have IPA Day? Because IPAs need to be stored cold. Why are we celebrating it at the hottest time of the year? Because, IPAs, the hops for IPAs are harvested in September, which is almost exactly a year ago. So you're using old hops. Or in the UK, they've come to you in sort of March, April, May time. So they're still not that fresh in the UK either. So it's a bonkers time to do it. So then I started thinking, right, so there's a time when we shouldn't have IPA Day. When's a good time to talk about IPA? And in this country, I decided it was March, April, and May, because that's when the fresh American hops come over. So the concept of this beer is a beer that is made entirely with brand new hops into the UK. So all the hops in this are from the 2020 harvest. And I was trying to create this sense of using the absolute freshest hops, and then started to create this idea of it being of it being, God, what's the word I'm trying to find? I'm still trying to explore this. I hope I did better in the book. just trying to create the idea that maybe beers, IPAs can be best at certain times of year. So I'd love to hear if you think that this is delicious or not, or whether you can taste that it's super fresh, because I think things that we don't really think about when we're tasting an IPA, we don't think about the seasonality of it. But if you just drink IPA throughout all of the year, there's still a seasonality to that, because hops taste better or worse at different times of year as they get less fresh, or as the new ones come in. So there is still a seasonality even if you just drink IPA. So I'm trying to say maybe they'll taste best in April, but I don't know. So I'd love to hear what you think. Obviously, as people have already pointed out, this beer is not a West Coast IPA. It's really not. And I still haven't had that conversation with Gareth. But the recipe for this, okay, I'll tell you the recipe. The recipe is 10% flaked oats, 90% pale malt. It is a West Coast yeast, and it is a 17 gram per litre dry hop. The water profile, I believe, was not that West Coasty. So we didn't get the sulfates high enough to hammer that bitterness. And it's also supposed to be 50 IBU. But with the sweetness that's left over, with the body that's there, with the juiciness that's come through from the hops, it's not a West Coaster. But it is bloody delicious. How much are you getting, Brad? Is it big enough?
It's pretty big, but to be honest, it's pretty. I'm struggling. Nobody wants to hear that, but
least of all you.
Yeah, it's dangerous. Like I said on the, I don't want to derail the conversation, but last week I nearly burnt my house down because I set my toaster on fire, and I couldn't smell the smoke from the toaster. So that's the level of sort of nasal activity that I've got going on at the moment. I'm fucked, Johnny. It's rubbish.
It's going to come back, I promise you.
I really hope so. I'm getting it a bit, man. I can tell it's big. It's a big boy.
I mean, it is a big IPA. Also, I wanted to do a single IPA, but they make sure that they have one dipper a month, and they hadn't sorted a dipper out. So they're like, "Can we do a dipper?" And so we sort of justified that in our heads by saying, "How can we make this taste like spring?" The way that we do it is by saying, if it's a double IPA, there's warmth. You know, new warmth, the first warmth, the warmth of the sun on your face. And then we were trying to get rain-soaked pine forests, floral notes, pithy notes, and I just think it's ended up too juicy. So I think it's a delicious beer, but it's not what we set out to do. And you know, I think it is a little bit drier than their usual beers. That's where the West Coast has come in, and slightly higher bitterness. But I'd have still gone 30% higher on that bitterness, and made something, you know, kind of alchemist levels of bitterness. So it was, you know, had loads of thick fruit character, but was just at the end on your palate. So yeah, it's a beautiful beer, but it's not what we aim for. But I'll still drink it all day long. And I think the can is fucking amazing. I love it. All the designs were completely done by the breweries. I had no hand in it. So we came up with the names together, and then I said to them, like, because, you know, they had to still sell this to their customer base. So I was like, make it look like you. And they did a wonderful job with that can, I think. There you go. That's what I wanted.
We had a Patreon question come in. Oh my God. That phone doesn't want to show it. At Jonny and the Brad, are you guys having a Christmas live stream this year? Make it a Saturday night, please. And that was from Filet Fish.
Hopefully, again, baby caveat, but hopefully. And if we do, I mean, we try to do all of our live shows on a Saturday. The reason we couldn't do this one on a Saturday is because I'm away this weekend, and for the next like three weekends. So we had to go for a Thursday for this event. But generally, we try to do it on Saturdays so that everybody can drink and have fun, and so the people in other countries can join us without it either being really late at night or still during the workday. So apologies to anybody that the weekday ones have screwed you over. Yeah, I'm really glad to see everybody really enjoying this, despite the fact that it's not It's not at all what we were looking for. Super chat from Josh.
Hey, Josh.
I'm
I
glad.
miss you, Josh. I haven't seen you in real life in about a month. So.
Josh is almost the third member. What's the name of the fifth member of the Beatles? Can't remember his name. But Josh is working hard to become that.
That's it. That's it.
He's been in our videos tasting our beer. I found a good question. There we go. Tristan. Are we now in a position where the UK is producing IPAs fully on a level with the US? I'd say it's been like that for some time, but perhaps we're not getting the US ones at their freshest. No, I mean, having traveled extensively throughout the US, we make beer, we make IPA just as good as the States. There's literally no difference in the quality. The difference is the strength in depth. So in the UK, there's only, when it comes to like really great New England and West Coast IPA, there's only maybe 100, 200 breweries making great West Coast and New England IPAs in the UK, which isn't not trying to be mean here. I mean, a lot of breweries don't even bother with those styles, so that's why they're not. In the States, you know, there's 4,000 or 5,000 breweries making amazing West Coast and New England IPAs. Like, they've got 3 and a bit times as many breweries, and they're all focused on American style brewing. Whereas over here, most of our small brewers are focused on bitters, golden ales, porters, stouts, making great cask beer. So if you go to the States, their cask beer is bloody awful. We had a wee heavy on cask at Bear Republic that was pretty good, but still lacked a bit of conditioning. Still wasn't, you know, if we drunk that in the UK, we'd have been like, it's not perfect. But over in the States, we were like, hey, this is super cool. Beer ideas for me to brew to make my bus go down. I've got a new job at a microbrewery in London, just as a barman, but hoping to progress assistant brewer. Ooh, Seb, this is a great question. How proficient are you at brewing? The new trends coming through, I think what would blow your boss away would be a session strength New England IPA. So like Beak's Lula is a fucking great example. Colonel Table beers, you know, they're not juicy, but they're low bitterness and they're full of hop flavor. Something like that, something that, you know, over the bar is going to sell tons of, but is loaded with this kind of juicy yeast, high hop character. I'd try and perfect a recipe like that and see if your boss likes that. That's my thinking. Any thoughts, Brad?
I like the sound of that, man. I think doing something that's kind of low but is a super cool trend. Sounds like a winner.
Super. We've had another super chat. Thank you so much for all the support, guys. It really means a lot, and we've had a really good year in terms of views, but obviously advertising is way down on YouTube, so we really appreciate the support you can send us. Johnny, great name, 909. Really enjoyed the homebrew content on your channel. What are you brewing next? And are there any homebrew YouTubers we enjoy? 100%. So our next beer is going to be our Christmas beer. We're just starting work on that. I was doing some research today. Yeah, I'll tell you, it's going to be a Hefeweizen, but with a twist. So we're now sponsored by Grainfather, so we've got some pretty cool ideas about how we're going to show off what the Grainfather can do, and their new products as well, because they've just released the S40 and the G40. So G40 is a bigger version. Well, no, it's not a bigger version of the G30, which is what we brew on the moment. It's a smaller version of the G70, which is a much cooler bit of kit. So we're going to be brewing on that, and then we're going to give the S40 a go as well, which is like the unconnected version, the non-smart version. So we've got that, and then, like I say, after that, it's a West Coast IPA. So that's why I've been doing the research into that. It will be a West Coast IPA. It will be. I promise you. And we're working with the greatest West Coast IPA brewery in the world.
You're like the hype man for this video that hasn't come out in about 4 months now.
Yeah, well, we've been sat on it because we want to finish the brewery in the studio outside.
Yeah,
so we've been sat on it for a long time, but it's the biggest collaboration we've ever done. It's a super fucking cool recipe that we've come up with. It's going to be, it's the thing I'm most excited about right now with the craft beer channel. I can't wait to get stuck into that. So that's going to be happening probably January. I'm saying nothing. Right. Cool. So yeah, we're now supposed to be cracking the barley wine, but I'm conscious that just cracking 8% beers one after another is a nightmare if we do it too quickly. So if you've got any comments,
so I'm going to have to just leave you for a second. Sorry.
No. All right, just me then. Well, let's go through the comments. Big shout out to Colonel for not only making amazing beers, but being a trailblazer in the wake of what we should talk about later, indeed. Yeah, I mean, it's such a weird thing to say, but they are, I think, definitely people coming into the craft beer scene. They've discovered great beer. They're learning. They're working out what they like and what they don't like. Very few of them are drinking Colonel, and it's bonkers because they not only make some of the best IPAs and pales and table beers, but they started all of this, really. Certainly that London movement. You know, they were inspired by Thornbridge and by Brewdog, but yeah, it's like people not knowing who the Beatles are, but in beer, basically. So we're always singing the Colonel's praises and trying to get people excited about it. Callum was on the channel earlier and noticed there was no big in 2021. There definitely was. We put Three Hills and some other great breweries in there. Maybe we named it different this year. I will dig out the link, or get Brad to dig out the link, and let you know. But it definitely does exist, I swear. We definitely filmed it. We definitely put it live, so I hope it hasn't been deleted. We've recently had a couple of issues with YouTube demonetizing our content. I don't quite know why. I hope it's not a movement towards demonetizing alcohol. That would be an issue for us, but I don't think so. I think we might have just put it in the wrong playlist or something, so we'll find it. Pouchy, I want to start home brewing. Should I bother with extract brewing or should I skip straight to all grain? That's a great fucking question. My immediate reaction is skip straight to all grain. Because if you really love beer, you want to make great beer at home, you won't be able to have the level of control that you'd want if you're doing extract. So what I would say is, if you're confident, you're okay with the first one or two beers being quite shit, go for brewing a bag. But what I also might say is maybe just as a little tester, buy one of those 30 quid kits, particularly ones that come with a little fermenter, because then you can use that later, and just give one a go. So just do one, because it will teach you all the things that you need to know. It will teach you the process really quickly. You'll see the ingredients. If you mess it up, it hasn't cost you a huge amount or lots of equipment. And just check that it's a process that you're going to be up for, because it's time consuming. There's a lot of cleaning. It's definitely, to start with, not as fun as it sounds. And then once you get the hang of it, once you get your system in place, it becomes enormous fun. So I would say do a really cheap, crappy kit. And if that doesn't put you off, go straight to all grain. Don't do a couple of extract brews. If you want control, you'll start to get bored of it, is what I'd say.
I guess you could, as a sort of second option, you could get a pinter. I mean, yeah, they've just come out with a new product, haven't they, Johnny? We need to sort of potentially look at.
Yeah, we'll have a look at that. I mean, the pinter, I don't think that's quite the same. Like, you want to hold the hops, see the extract, you add the yeast with the pinter. I mean, the pinter's a cool, fun bit of kit, but I think you want to have to clean everything. You want to have the pots and the pans that you got to scrub afterwards and just check that it's not a massive
yeah.
Homebrew with extract is like making the most complicated stew, and if you don't like doing those kind of slow cooks, you might not love it. Cool. Got another super chat. Any recipe ideas for a cold weather sour beer? Cherry sour. Get yourself some really special cherries, and make your own puree, unlike we did in our last episode. Like, make your own puree, so cook it up, mash it down, chill it down, use that. Jeffrey,
it's that time of the evening.
There she is.
There you go. Oh dear.
No, didn't enjoy that. If you're going for mixed firm stuff, I think you might have just missed elderberry season. I think elderberry season might just be finishing, but those berries are absolutely amazing in beer. There will be some hedgerow fruits coming out right now, which you might be able to grab and use for that, and maybe use the yeast from them or freeze them and add them. But yeah, I mean, it's those rich, dark fruits. I'd use stuff that's got a bit of acidity to it. I wouldn't use figs or dates or anything like that. I think go for something a bit funky, because you're going to then add complexity to your sour beer. Cool. Is that all the super chats?
Well, no, we've had one from Callum Trimble.
Oh, I did that one. Don't you worry. Oh no, sorry.
Yeah.
He's found it. Yeah, New Barnes plain dark beer is amazing. Callum regrets the error. Here's some more money. Keep making errors, Callum. Just keep them flying. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, if that was hard to find, I'll have a quick look and check that it was us. It was you being silly, not us. We'll have to see.
Johnny, I think we might have fucked up here. Zander10 has said, "R.I.P. my super chat, lol." So I feel like we might have missed this.
Oh shit, we missed one.
I don't know. Sorry, Zander, if we missed.
There it is. I can find one. I'm so sorry, Zander. It's right there. There it is. Have your moment. Brew IPL in general IPL for CBC Brew. That is something I keep meaning to. I don't know whether this is quite what you're implying, but we could do an IPL. I reckon that might be a summer brew next year. That could be really great. But we've talked about doing a brew along. So if we did a live show where we were brewing, if that would be of interest, what we could do is release the recipe ahead of time. You guys can buy the ingredients and you can literally brew along with us. We'll answer homebrew questions. We'll have some beers. We'll chat along with you. And a couple of people have asked us about that. So if you guys are up for that, just let us know in the comments. Just give us a big thumbs up. And maybe we'll organize that for sometime next year. Because I'd love to do that. And I think it'd be a great way to connect with the homebrewers at home. And because we can make videos and you can ask questions in the comments, but it's not quite the same as having a brew day with people all over the world. That'd be great. And already people are, the comments are coming in so fast. I'm clicking on the wrong things. Can we open up your back garden shed as the new U Brew? Probably not. It's going to be quite a small studio. You could come, but probably not any of your friends. But people are loving that idea. So it sounds like it's something we should definitely do.
Super chat from Chris K. Hot in, Johnny.
Hooray! Sorry, I need to wet my whistle there. It's been a bad week for craft beer. So I love that CBC show can show how beer can be inclusive and brings people together. Yeah, it was an interesting one. Luckily we had a bit of a resolution today and we'll get into that. But I was super worried because obviously DEYA were caught up in that. Verdant and Northern Monk and North, who are all Patreons of ours. So I was kind of thinking, how do we use today? You know, it could have been that this became a bit of a campaign segment going, we need to do the right thing. We need to talk to these breweries. But luckily they've listened. Everything's better. And I'm really glad that we've had this with everybody to just shoot the shit for a bit. And remember how fucking great being in the beer industry can be when we get it right and get to work with amazing breweries and amazing people. Everybody's up for it. Everybody's up for it. This is great. Brad's coach tour, though, needs to get organised.
We need to do that.
Once you've put the idea out there, Brad, you've got to come through on that one. You've got to book the bus. I'm going to leave that one to you.
Oh yeah, sure. I'll just book the bus.
Just book the bus,
What
mate.
could go wrong? What could go wrong?
Book the bus. As long as you're not driving, nothing.
Yeah, good point.
Andrew Taylor Dawson asked, would we do a video matching beer with vegan food? If that was of interest to people, 100%. Until my wife got pregnant, I was a vegetarian at home. Well, I'm mostly away, but that didn't really work in pregnancy, so we're eating meat. It's been a lot of fun. But we're totally down with veganism, with vegetarianism. if that'd be interesting, we can do something. We can apply it to beer and talk about veganism in beer. In the UK, it's a little bit tricky. Around the world, most beer is vegan unless you've thrown lactose or honey into it. But yeah, we'd love to do that. Would you want it cuisine based, or would you just want, we could even do a tour of like great vegan restaurants with great beer and do some matching or something. I need to think about.
Do you know something that happened that was quite exciting yesterday, Johnny, which I haven't had a chance to try yet?
Yeah.
Is McDonald's have come out with the McPlant burger, which is their Beyond Meat burger.
Mm-hmm.
And the cheese is pea-based cheese. I don't know. It looks pretty good, man. I like a Beyond Meat burger, so I am gonna get one, and I will report back.
I can't remember the last McDonald's I had.
Miss it out, sir. Well, yeah. I mean, we're not.
I had a McDonald's milkshake actually about a year ago. And I don't regret it. Andy, I didn't know this was a thing. You can have a beer hot side, you just can't have multiple beers hot side. I get that it's dangerous, but I mean, people drive after a beer, and that's far more dangerous.
It's like no drinking poolside, Johnny.
Is that a thing anywhere? There's literally swimming pools that have bars in them.
You can go drinking and swimming and drinking, though.
I've swum and drunk.
So have I.
Well, good. We've cleared that one up.
I'm thinking back to Florida when we stayed in that lovely motel, and they had that great pool, and we tried to take sort of sexy influencer photographs of me and you in the pool.
Horrific. Horrific.
Yeah,
I just want to show this glorious conversation that's happening. Craig Anderson says, pea or pea-based cheese? To which Jasper rightly points out, pea is not vegan.
He is not vegan because there are animals involved, right? Okay, interesting.
Well, yeah, humans, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it could be anybody's pea.
It could be any animal's pea, couldn't it? It could be chicken pea. A chickpea.
There you go. Andrew's having none of your McDonald's nonsense.
Oh, McPiss. There we go.
So there we go. Right. So yeah, everybody's up for the coach tour. Yes, Brad's going to organise that one too. I promise you.
I mean, to be honest, we could go into a coach tour business at this point with beer tours around Europe and the UK.
There used to be a great Belgian beer tour for Tour de Guers, and they go to a couple of like non-lambic breweries and then to Tour de Guers, and it's called Podge's Beer Tours, and it was run by a guy called Podge, who I met a couple of times. Sadly, he died about 2 years ago, but he used to run legendary tours, and he knew everybody there, and apparently it was a lot of fun. Okay, the demands are getting more niche at this point. But we've got the name there already.
There you go. Really copyrighted that shit.
Thank you very much for the super chat, Greg. You haven't put a question in there, so I'll answer a question. 42. Thank you. Cool.
I think
sorry,
Chris K made a very good point about needing plenty of space on the coach for take home. So I think we have to implement a very strict light hand luggage policy where you're only allowed to take like 4 pairs of pants or whatever and a couple of t-shirts. So we're talking.
How long are we going for?
How long?
Pairs of pants. That's a lot of pants. Tour de Guers.
We have too many pairs of pants. I don't know. I'd rather have too many pairs of pants than not enough pairs of pants.
Well, sure, but I just don't know how. Brad's craft beer tours on the open top bus going via Brussels and Bamberg. It's all getting a bit.
Bring your pants. Yeah, I think we'll have to have when I was flying to Amsterdam last week, supposedly, or whenever it was, I've lost track of time. I think the limit for the hand luggage carry-on was 9 kilograms. That's not very many kilograms. I was going for pretty much a week.
Well, yeah, Ryanair changed it so that I mean, this is not a beer channel chat.
This was
But yeah,
British
you
only.
get stuff that you want on the plane basically now, and then you have to get the extras.
Yeah, absolutely terrible. This is
All
British
the
only.
great tips are coming in now.
Yeah.
We've all been there. We've all been there, Andrew.
I mean, that's the last resort.
That'll cause some issues.
That's a lawsuit waiting to happen. I won't be checking anyone's pants.
No space for lawsuits on the bus either.
Not even my own pants. So
all pairs of pants, no lawsuits. That'll be the sign on the bus. Surely it's barley wine time. I think you're right, Stuart. I think we've been talking fucking nonsense for long enough. So time for a bit of light in the dark, which is, I think, a great name for a beer, given the week that we've had in this industry. So this is light in the dark. We're moving to winter. I'm going to show you winter, even though Brad thinks it sucks. This is where I used to go most days. I'd walk up to the top of Hampstead Heath, and I'd try to sit on that bench, but usually it was taken by somebody. And look out at the world. And I took this on New Year's Day 2020, which is the same day that I gave up alcohol for a month for the book and for the video and everything. And I did sit on that bench and got a really wet arse instantly, so I stood up. But I got the photo, so that's all that matters.
I mean, it's probably a lovely photo, Johnny, but to be honest, mate, there's a blue strip at the top.
It's a nice photo, right? Come on, Brad, come back.
Here I am.
If you're gonna say you can't see the photo, I'll remove you from the stream.
Oh, okay, yeah, fair enough. That's how you roll these days. Just cut me out straight.
Yeah, we're in book promotion mode. Nothing gets in the way of the photos from the book at this point.
Are these photos from the book?
Yeah.
Okay. And have you done something to the opacity on them? Have you like halved the opacity?
Oh yeah, mate. Yeah, I've taken down the transparency so they don't pop too much.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know, I plan well ahead for these YouTube. I know you just rock up at 7:30, test your sound, you know, pick up your cat at some point.
Yeah,
I've been planning this for weeks.
Well, I haven't even put a cowboy hat on tonight, mate.
Yeah, I didn't even put a hat on.
You know what? I got a new cowboy hat in a charity shop the other day.
Go get it.
Damn straight. I'm not even lying.
Go get it. I know you're not lying. You wouldn't lie about something so serious.
So you know, we're all pretty bored of this one. We've all seen this guy. It's a good one, though. Now, I got this from British Red Cross the other day. This is a proper nickel hats from Mexico. This is made of leather. It's not vegan, unfortunately. Look at that.
Oh, Brad, it's a strong hat. Oh, it's a really strong hat.
Look at that. That is amazing, isn't it?
That is amazing. I'm going to send you full screen so we can show that off properly.
I mean, it's pretty good. My girlfriend took me out for a very belated birthday meat liquor burger. And before we went in, I requested to have a little look in the charity shops in Forest Hill. And I found this in the first and only charity shop we went in. And I spent all my money on it. I was like, I can't spend any more money. It was quite expensive, but I thought I've got to get it. It has to be mine. So, yeah, this is my handmade Mexican Nicole hats. Western, it says, what does it say? It says 100XX somewhere in it, which I know means that it's the shit. It's like real nice quality. And it's made of leather, which is unusual. So I was like, I'm gonna have it. Look at the height on that, Johnny.
It's good height.
Maybe half a foot to my height. In a sort of Tom Cruise-esque move, I'm now gonna be, instead of us being the same height, I'm now a half a head taller than you, mate. Look out, I'm coming for you.
I think Micah wins with this.
Brad Redemption. You know what?
Oh shit! Oh no! Wait! Phil B's come in with a late winner. I mean, it should have been the good, the Brad, and the ugly. But
hang on a minute. How comes Phil B has got the same photo as the guy that did the poem. Hang on, I've spotted something here. What's going on?
I think it's the same person.
But why has he got... His name was Lord Paul Bulrush.
Oh, yeah, shit, you're right.
Why is Lord Paul Bulrush the same photo as Bill B? What's going on?
Wait. I'm going to come back to Greg's super chat because we've just had a really lovely one from Josh. Just on the photo that I showed. Imminently after the sudden passing of one of my family, me and my brother walked through Hampstead Heath past that spot. During a conversation on that walk, he convinced me to start a brewery. A little bit of serendipity there. And Josh now owns Mellor Brewing. I'm not quite sure where you can get it. Josh, feel free to put it in the comments. You can grab the beers from Josh. Greg, why do you think reds and browns uncommon in craft? Because 2 reasons. One, those flavors can mask hops, and hops are king in craft for better or for worse right now. 2, because honestly, outside of like the beer bubble that we operate in, and maybe a slightly wider sphere of people that, you know, aren't beer geeks but know beer, there's still this cliche that darker beer gives you worse hangovers, upsets your stomach, is higher in calories, all this kind of fucking nonsense that makes no sense whatsoever, but has become these weird narratives that are put out there. So, I mean, that's the reason. It just means that these beers do not sell half as well as super pale beers. And that's been going on for centuries. Like we talk about it in the book. As soon as beers could get pale, people bought the pale beers. And all these dark beers started to suffer. It's why, part of the reason why mild gave way to bitter in the UK. It's why what were called brown beers in Germany gave way to Märzens, which were paler, and then Märzens gave way to Helles. It's why, you know, all of the beers that were served at Oktoberfest were Märzens up until the 1960s-ish. They were, you know, Märzen was the style that was there, which is a kind of brown, you know, not a million miles away from the colour that we're about to drink in this. And now they're all called Fest beers, and they're all just stronger, hoppier Helles beers. So there's just something in the human psyche that when it comes to what we drink, we like paleness. Or when it comes to drinking beer, we like paleness, those flavors, that look, clarity as well. If you can see through something, the story goes, if you can see through it, then you feel more confident about what's in it. Whereas like a dark, murky liquid, you might not want to put in your body, which again is bonkers. It's nonsense. Most dangerous gases and liquids are colorless, but it's just something that humans have kind of come to believe in. So yeah, I hope that helps with the question. It's not quite an answer, but it's just the way that humanity has gone. We've got so many super chats coming in, but I haven't poured the beer. So I'm going to quickly pour it, then we're going to come to the super chats. So this is a light in the dark. It is an 8.6% barley wine. Obviously, this is for winter. This is for having with cheese. It is for having with rich dark stews. It is for having by the fire. It is inspired by traditional English barley wines, modern traditional. That seems like a contradiction, but what I mean is it's not inspired by the American-style barley wines, the 10, 11, 12 percenters that are heavily hopped, but also it's not inspired by the really old-school barley wines that would have probably been 10, 11, 12%, boozy, bretted, funky as hell, aged for years and years and years. This is inspired specifically by Coniston Brewery's Number 9, which is one of my favorite beers in the world, and Vintage Ale, which, depending on the vintage, is one of my favorite beers in the world. So it's caramel, dates, figs, bananas, a kind of nuttiness, bready, brioche-ness. What did I put in the... so that's supposed to be... croissant kind of notes, honey, toffee I was going for there, or licorice maybe, and then a grainy richness. The yeast is the Fuller's yeast, so we literally took the Fuller's yeast and brewed with that, which can have a banana-iness, but also kind of chocolate dryness to it as well, that yeast, which helps to dry it out. And then it's all Golding hops, which is honey and spice, and it's my favorite of the 4 collabs. I think this is as far as both style, not so much the style, sorry, because there's so many styles of barley wine, but in terms of a beer in the glass being close to perfection after one try, I think this is the closest. It's also the beer I had the biggest hand in, the one where they literally came to me and went, "We're going to do your recipe." So I sent this recipe to Sean at Siren, and he loved the recipe. He was like, "I love that." In terms of the yeast, because I'd suggested yeast, he said, "In terms of the yeast, we've got this Fuller's yeast, so let's use that." And otherwise, it was all me. The recipe is only half of the production. Like the actual production of it is super important as well. But it's, and it's fucking amazing. I'd love to hear your tasting notes as well. Let's do these super chats. Just want to raise a glass. Cheers, Jonny. Congrats on the great book. Thanks so much, man. And ongoing beer education. Cheers as always for nights like this and to many more. Ben, thank you so much for that super chat, for the support, for being our Patreon. And it was lovely to meet you and Jen at Hackney. And thank you so much for buying the book. It really means the world. Anybody that has, thank you so much. There's not been a lot of work come my way in the last year. I wasn't eligible for any freelance support up until only a couple of months ago when I got the final one and I got some help there. So the fact that this book is being bought by you guys genuinely means the fucking world. Thank you so much. And for the super chat as well. Rich, just like the cast content, good UK homebrew content is required. Keep up the good work. Yeah, I mean, our plan for the channel, correct me if I'm wrong, Brad, is to, what we really love making is that proper documentary style stuff, like the Fullers or the New England one, and I love making the homebrew stuff as well. So if we could do all of that and then intersperse it with like once a month, either a sofa session or a Brad Lowbrow, that's the dream, right?
Yeah, man. Bit of silliness along with the beautiful stuff and the super informative stuff. I think that is the winning combo that hopefully people want. It's all about balance, isn't it?
Life is indeed all about.
I can't believe we got to meet Ben, and I had bloody COVID and I didn't get to meet him. Sorry,
sure
Ben.
Did. Ben, Jen, I met Ian. I met so many people. It was really lovely. I feel like a couple of people that I've met in the last couple of weeks sadly aren't here tonight, so I can't thank them. But I met Chelsea and Gemma. So yeah, it's been really nice to get back out there and to meet people. It's been really lovely. Because so many people joined us at the start of lockdown. So many people. Everyone that I've been speaking to that are Craft Beer Channel viewers, most of them have been saying we discovered what you do during lockdown because everyone was looking for something to do. So we've never met you, and we really want to meet all of you if we can. So we're going to do more Craft Beer Channel events. We're going to be at more events, hopefully. Obviously, I've got a baby coming, but once that's all over, I'm hoping to be out and traveling again. It's just been the loveliest thing.
Are you allowed child seats on a coach, Jonny?
I'm not. Even if I was, Brad. I think it's just going to be you driving. I don't know, driving an American school bus around Belgium in your cowboy hat.
In the cowboy hat. It sounds
see this going.
something that would happen in Belgium.
We've got another super chat, guys. Thank you so much for the generosity. Thoughts on specialising in the current UK scene? For example, Fierce swept to the top 3 in amplified beers in the Scottish Beer Awards last week, as well as Brewery of the Year and a fair few others. I'm really sorry, I don't quite understand the question. Thoughts of specialising in the current UK scene, as in
making like a documentary or something?
So Scotland is another thing we've wanted to cover for a long time. I was supposed to go up there for the book and sadly didn't manage it, but we want to go. Fierce, we've met many times the guys from there and love their beer. Fine Ales, we absolutely adore. Overtone are these new guys that are doing incredible beers up there as well. You've got Pilot, you've got New Barns, you've got the new guys Moonwake, who I haven't had any beer from, but I love their branding. Scotland is this wonderful new hotbed of amazing beer. And almost in a way, it's good that we didn't go up last year, because I think if we go next year, there's going to be so much more stuff that we can learn and see. So definitely going up to Scotland and seeing that and seeing the likes of Fierce. And we want to do more brewery tour, the kind of content that we often do when we go abroad. I'd love to do more in the UK as we go, which is why I did the one at my new local brewery We haven't done those in a long time because of COVID. Ben, any idea if there will be rebrews of any of these? I've got the book for my dad this Christmas. Thank you, Ben. I know for certain that there's going to be more Czech Pilsners from Lost and Grounded. I think even possibly they're working on a core range one.
You can't do that guy again, presumably till next year.
That guy will have to wait until next year. Yeah. Sunny Spells. I'd like to think there'll be another brew. I think they'll be working on their West Coast beers and trying to get it better. They did a West Coast triple IPA that was really good and pretty West Coasty. So I think they'll be working on that. I hope, I'll have a chat with Gareth and maybe with Theo, the owner, about that beer and just how far away from West Coast we landed. And maybe they'll want to do more and try to learn from that. I mean, it's still a fucking delicious beer and I still love DEYA. But maybe they'll rebrew it and try to learn from that. 100%. That's one thing we haven't bought. I had the cot arrive yesterday, so I've got that lovely rite of passage of building my own baby's cot. I'm looking forward to that.
I think you skipped Andrew's.
Oh my God, did I skip one? Hey, Andrew. Here's a challenge. How about highlighting malt flavors in beers in an episode, bearing in mind old school cask drinkers prefer malt to hops. So obviously we did the one. It wasn't cask. We did a whole malt episode with the Hannah malt for the lager by Lost and Grounded. But malt is something we're going to be getting into. I think off the back of the cask one that we've just done, something we didn't include in any of that is the ingredients that go into classic British stuff. So I think that's something I want to do. I want to delve much deeper into British hops and again more into malt. So in answer to your question, yes, we'll find some more ways to talk more about malt because I think there's a lot more to malt than we've talked about in the last couple of years. You agree, Brad?
100%, mate. It's criminally underrepresented in beer content, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And what we're drinking here is almost all malt. It's malt and yeast. That's what makes a barley wine great. And then you use the hops to enhance those two things. Whereas if you brew an IPA, you think about the hops first and you work out how to make them sing. So I'd love to do more content about barley wines, milds, bitters, these beers that are really malt forward is the term. So Matt, thank you so much for your super chat. I will spend all those £10 on nappies. I've been told, don't worry about the Pampers nonsense. Apparently the Aldi nappies are great, so I'm going to give those a go. Crash cut to our live show in January where I'm like, never buy Aldi nappies. Philip Rosenquist, thank you as always for the fantastic content. Been following you since 2015 when I lived in Wuhan. Yes, I got out before you got out, but so did the virus a couple of years later. So you're opening a brewery in Wuhan, like a craft brewery. Tell us about that. I'd love to hear about that. But thank you so much for the super chat, for supporting what we do. Are you still in the brewing industry as well, where you are? Let us know. And then we've got another super chat. Russell, thanks for entertaining us, guys. 6 Degrees appear in the book. Looking forward to you coming north. Would you like to collaborate with other breweries in future? 100%. Sorry, when I talked about Scotland, I didn't mention 6 Degrees. That's outrageous. We're looking. So with all of our homebrew episodes, we collaborate with a brewery or a soda maker in one case. So we're definitely looking to do much more of that. It's tricky doing commercial brews with breweries. It's a lot of work to make an episode essentially, but we do love doing them. I think the issue is that a lot of people email us going, do you want to do a collab? And what they mean by a collab is, do you want to come film us do a brew? So we always sort of reply with like, yes, we have these recipes we'd love to do. We've been thinking about this, and this. And quite a lot of the time they go quite quiet afterwards. So we'd love to do more. We're hoping to do more and hopefully taking this international as well. But through the homebrew stuff, we've got loads more collaborations coming with really special breweries. We've got the one that I've teased about West Coast IPA. We've also got one about pastry stouts. There's only one person you go to if you're going to do a pastry stout collaboration. So there's lots more coming. Lots more coming. We haven't talked about winter at all in this. So one of my favourite chapters, well, we've got no super chats. We're coming to the Ask Me Anythings very, very soon. One of my favourite chapters is the Christmas beer chapter, in which I tell the history of Christmas beers, which amazingly starts in Scotland, if you can believe it. So we talk about how Scotch ales influence Belgian Christmas beers. And then also one of the most exciting things I've done in my time in craft beer is this. So this is a photo collage of me at Burning Sky when they were doing this year's Cool Ship Brew, one of them. So I talk about my trip to there while they were making their lambic style beers. And that's super, super special to be able to be there for that event. And that's what winter is all about. It's about big, boozy beers. And then the fact that that's when we make spontaneous beers, because you have to do that in winter or else all your beers will get hugely infected by just being out with all the wild bacteria. So yeah, I would love you guys to tell me what you think about this book, whether it's here or in our Patreon Discord forum or online. Reviews really help as well, particularly around Christmas on Amazon, Goodreads, whatever it is. So if you love the book, please review it. Or if you don't review it, but that'd be mean. So yeah, really appreciate everybody who's bought it. And thanks so much. And I hope you really enjoyed the beers tonight. You can still buy them if you didn't have the beers for this taste along. You can still buy them all over in lots of different shops. And I've got events. I'm at Park Fever in South London on the 26th. I'm at Northampton. I think it's next week. I think I'll go mad. It might be Wednesday next week, Tuesday or Wednesday next week. And then I'll do more events in February and March next year up in Manchester, Leeds, hopefully Newcastle and Edinburgh. So yeah, please do watch out for those on our social events. Right, I'm going to now. Yeah, Ian's got the vibe. We're now going to do our Ask Us Anything. Ask Us Anything time. Brad is going to host this for a minute while I pop to the loo.
Fuck, I was about to pop to the loo, but yeah,
you've already been.
I know. You take to go again.
You take one question and I'll go.
Okay, cool.
And then we'll deal with this. So you're going to answer. No, I'm going to let you choose. You answer it. I'll be 30 seconds.
I can't get anything up on screen. Is the barrel-aged version... Oh, hang on. Is the barrel-aged version of Glen Afric Collab Metric Tonic still due out? No. I don't think it is. We haven't talked about doing that with those guys in a while. I guess maybe it's in a barrel somewhere, but we're not sort of in talks to do that, unfortunately. Giddy up, yeah. Sorry, guys. I'm flagging a little bit. I am needing a wee. Plus, kind of, I won't say I've got long COVID. I've got sort of short COVID, but I still feel pretty crappy. I just wish I could have tasted some of these beers this evening. Favorite barbecue style? Brad, what's the plans for Johnny's paternity leave? We're fucked. When Johnny goes, don't know. I don't think we can just do low brows every week. I don't think that's the answer. So hopefully he's back. They were asking what we're going to do when you go on paternity leave, and I was like, we're fucked.
Good answer. No, so we're going to film. My plan is to take all of December off. I want to be there for as long as I can, but we're hopefully going to film all of our Christmas content in advance. And then I'll be back in January. So hopefully you guys won't even know I'm away, unless, not everything goes to plan and the Christmas live show takes a bump. But hopefully you won't notice.
That was a quick read.
Yeah.
That was a quick read, Johnny.
Go on. You go.
Huh?
Go on.
What?
Get out of here.
Me? I'll
Yeah.
go for me. Yeah. Phil, I was just looking at Phil B again, who's got the same face as the guy who did the poem, which is freaking me out. He said about me, "You are like Garth in Wayne's World." I bloody am. You're right, mate. Definitely. I don't like the spotlight on me solo. I find it very intimidating. So Johnny goes for a wee and my world crumbles.
You did super well. Well, I don't know that I wasn't here. Didn't
I just sort of looked down the list and went, someone asked what my favourite barbecue style was. And I was trying to think, I don't really know. There's like, is it Kansas style? And there's like Texas style. I don't know the barbecue styles. I know some of them are more vinegary. I like vinegary barbecue. Some of them are more powdery, right?
I am not an expert on this.
No, me neither. That's why we don't do the barbecue channel.
Yeah, no, we never have. Tell us the barbecue styles and we'll tell you which one we prefer.
I like the one with vinegary, the sort of vinegary stuff going on. That's ace for me.
Right, let's dig into some questions that we might have missed while I was peeing.
I said that isn't going to happen.
Why not?
Well, we haven't really talked about it with them for ages. I mean, it's probably in a barrel somewhere, but
well, hopefully it's out of the barrel by now.
Yeah.
I will chase that. I know I've been saying that for a long time, but we
can't be called metric tonnage because we had a cease and desist on us, didn't we?
We did, but I mean, it would be called something entirely different. But we will find out and let you know.
What's meaning of life? Johnny already said it's 42.
42. There you go. Any good barley wines?
No, they're all terrible. Oh, that one. Oh, yeah, sorry. The one Johnny made's great. Yeah.
And the vintage ale. We've got an episode on that coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, Bradley. It was a chance.
Yeah. I mean, we did like an amazing vertical tasting of. Maybe I'm not allowed to say that yet. I don't want to.
Yeah, you can say it.
Yeah. Vertical tasting of all the vintage ales from Fuller's. Well, not all. 5-year separations between them.
We did 2020, 2016, 2012, 2010, 2006, and 1997.
So the 1997 was like £600 bottle of beer, wasn't it, Johnny? It was pretty phenomenal.
It tasted like a 30 or 40 pound bottle of beer. It was really nice, but it was aging. Beer shouldn't really be aged for more than 5 years. There's very little benefit to be had.
My hot tip from that experience was like, this year's tasted fucking awesome. Go and buy this year's. Go and buy a few of them, drink some of them this year, and then save some, and drink them every year.
Absolutely, do that.
Val style. Right, I'm just going to have a wee go, sorry.
Disco asks, the original metric tonnage is still good to drink? 100%. One of the benefits of not adding crazy adjuncts to it is it should age nicely. The only issue is our main criticism of that beer was, A, we didn't get enough of that tonics flavour in, but also it was a little bit thin. And as you age beer, it gets thinner, it gets lighter. So it's perfectly good to age. Whether it's going to taste better than it did before, I don't know. One of our plans for homebrew episodes is to do a homebrew version of that and improve upon it, because we definitely didn't get it right. But it should still be great. And I'd love to hear your views when you crack it, see if you think it's any good. Best beer festivals for the rest of 2021. You know what? I don't know that many that are happening. One thing I think might be quite fun is the guys who run London Craft Beer Festival, Bristol Craft Beer Festival, Edinburgh Craft Beer Festival, Manchester Craft Beer Festival, and Beer Central, which is Birmingham Craft Beer Festival. Wow. Jesus fucking Christ, that was fast. I barely listed all the festivals run by We Are Beer. Yes.
Yeah, that's impressive.
So they're running a Christmas market. So it's going to be food and beautiful drink and sort of crafty stuff that you can take away. And that's happening end of November-ish, I think, the Christmas market from We Are Beer.
Yeah. It's pre-December, I believe, yeah.
Just had a super chat. Good luck for December, Johnny. Hope it's amazing. Me too. I'm incredibly excited at this point. It's taken a while for it to kind of hit home and for me to know what's happening. And now I'm like, I just want it to start now. That's sort of how I feel about that. Very excited. Sorry, there's been lots of comments. I'm trying to dig out. Do you have a favorite whiskey? Great question. Do you have one, Brad? You said you weren't a whiskey guy.
I mean, not really. My dad used to buy lots of single malts and keep them in the back room when I was a kid. And I know he had a bottle of something which was maybe like Isla or something, which was from, you know, way up one of the little islands. And that thing he said was worth like 500, 600 pounds or something. And he thought he hadn't opened it. But then he went and looked at it and he basically drank the whole thing, but he just totally forgotten that he drunk it. So he thought he had a windfall in this bottle of whatever it was, Isla, something or other. And it hadn't evaporated. He'd just fucking drunk it and forgotten about drinking it. So I don't know, like whiskies. I mean, I'd love to get more into whiskey. I feel like it could be a sort of side step we could make into sort of distilled stuff at some point.
I think whiskey's close enough that we could do that because it still involves a mash and that kind of stuff. And I wouldn't say I know anything about whiskey at all, but I always have whiskey in the house. I love old fashions. I have Buffalo Trace in the house at all times. I enjoy that whiskey as a sipping whiskey and for old fashions. I don't buy any other whiskey, but I enjoy Buffalo Traces. It's probably like the punk IPA version.
Bourbon, or is that a whiskey?
That's bourbon. Yeah. Sorry, I don't really drink Scottish.
No. I'm more of a bourbon guy myself. I just like the sweetness. I also like dark rum as well, like big time.
So I've missed a bunch of questions. I'm going to go through these chronologically. We're going to go through them quickly so we can get through as many as possible. Bradley, if I can't make it, are you going to host it anyway?
Maybe if Ben wants to host it with me and Josh and and Chris and some of the other superstar Patreons.
Maybe at the very least we do a Patreon one. So if you're a Patreon, you can just have some beers with Brad and a bunch of lovely people in our Patreon forum. Stuart, what do you think is the main divisive force between cask and craft? United have a stronger presence. They 100% would, Stuart. And I think that is a barrier that's really breaking down at the moment. I think, and that's part of why we did our documentaries now, because we think that there's as lots of modern breweries are starting to create bitters and lots of traditional brewers are starting to create American hot beers, it's all blurring and we can create that united front against unethical brewers. I wouldn't say big beer, I'd say unethical brewers. And sadly, the last year and a half have shown that there's lots of unethical small brewers. You should do something. Yeah, we'd love to do something with Alex again. And Alex has always said, you know, if you come up with a killer idea, he's well up for it. So Alex is he's one of my absolute heroes in terms of making amazing videos. And if we can find an excuse to work with him again, 100% we will. And he did an amazing, his fried rice series was amazing that he did recently. Friday 5 p.m. should still happen during paternity leave. Whatever happens, that's the plan. That will continue because what we love about Friday 5 p.m. is it's like this. It's like we turn up, we have questions from the audience, we have a lot of fun, and it's a really easy way for us to connect with you guys and give you something back, particularly to the Patreon. So I'm hoping that can continue even through Pat leave. Was it a bit counterintuitive starting with winter, then going to spring in the book while being in the middle of autumn? Yeah, I mean, I was writing, particularly because of COVID, the original plan was to write summer during summer, autumn during autumn, etc. And I end up writing almost all the seasons between January and April this year. So I went around, I traveled around, I took all the photos that I needed to, but I wrote most of it. I was writing about Christmas in March, and it was super confusing, but I had all my notes, I had all my photos. So yeah, it was weird, but it had to be done, and hopefully you won't notice. And the photos were there, and the joy of beer is it's transportative as well. So when I drank, Stille Nacht to remind myself of what great Christmas beer is like, it was real easy because the beer just transported me to Christmas. Tristan, you've asked some great questions tonight. Yes, they can. 100% they can. Everything is fixable. Everything can be redeemed. McKellar, the accusations against McKellar are bad. They're shocking. They were preventable. But the real issue with McKellar, to some extent with Brewdog as well, with a lot of these breweries, is the response to it as well. We all make mistakes, particularly when you run a very large company like Brewdog and McKellar do. The management, the top level, don't always know what's going on. They built a culture and the culture might be bad, but they don't know how bad. And so what needs to happen when you're accused of something is you need to take it seriously. You need to get independent people in to assess it and to make sure there's consequences for the bad actors. And then you need to build off the back of that. You need to build a new culture and a new system, a code, whatever it is, that makes sure that never fucking happens again. And both McKellar and Brewdog have been incredibly guilty of dismissing everybody's concerns, and that's why the breweries dropped out. This week. If McKellar had 18 months ago or a month ago gone, you're right, something is seriously wrong, we're going to take some time out, we're going to fix this, then I'd have been okay with all those breweries pouring at McKellar. We'd have been like, it's flawed, but they're working on it. They've hopefully put together a code that's going to make sure this festival is super fucking safe and welcoming. But they didn't do any of that. So the breweries are left there. They've already signed up to pour 2 years ago, and they're left there and they're like, what do we do at this point? And they don't want to leave because they probably know that Mikkel didn't know anything about this, but his response to it has just been fucking horrendous. So Mikkel can fix it, although Mikkel is actually accused of things as well, so that's interesting. That might not be redeemable. Same with Brewdog, James has been accused of things. They need to address that. They need to prove it's wrong, and they need to fix the culture. So yeah, it can be, but it's a long, long road for both of those breweries. People have criticised Wylam, and there's been some pretty shocking allegations against them. But I think it's 2 allegations. It's a much shorter road. They can hopefully atone for that. They can fix that easier than McKellar and Brewdog, where there's hundreds of accusations. So yes, it can be fixed, but it's a long road. Can you read it starting from the season you're actually in? Almost. I mean, yes, you can. There might be the odd moment where you're like, huh? I've desperately tried to keep callbacks to a minimum in the book. There's only maybe 4 or 5 places where I go, as I've mentioned earlier. Generally, you should be able to read it all without having to refer back. So you can dip in. I kind of wrote it hoping people would read the whole book and then refer to it again in future. But you should be able to do it without having to start from the start. Bradley, you want to take that one?
No. I mean, in good in terms of like how they're acting, their sort of outlook on the world. I mean, people are people, aren't they? So you can sort of have a trendy craft brewery or whatever, but if you've got bad eggs that are stinking up your brewery, then doesn't matter. Is that what that's saying?
I think it's a bit of both, isn't it? Like, I mean, we talked a lot on the craft beer channel. Like, good isn't the same as craft. There's lots of very bad craft beer out there,
No.
and I think
it's not a shorthand for good. Craft, is it?
And then when it comes to people, I think we just have to remember that, you know, this whole cliche "good people drink good beer" is complete fucking nonsense. People drink good beer. The craft beer industry is a microcosm of the rest of the world. You know, it's the same kind of people drinking these beers, and it's actually made it a little bit worse because it's such a heavily male-dominated industry. Not to say that males are inherently bad whatsoever, but it means that the male perspective is always going to dominate. So the fact that we're mostly men both drinking and producing it and owning the companies means that it's going to have particular flaws, I think. So craft beer does not mean good people. It just means all it means is the businesses are smaller. And if anything, craft isn't like a get out. It's not a shield. If anything, it should be extra pressure. It should be, if we're going to be a small independent business, we're going to do it fucking right. So I hold craft breweries to a much higher standard than the bigger breweries, I think. So it works almost the other way. How did I choose the breweries for the collabs? A couple of reasons. So I wanted them all to have been featured heavily in the book, which they all are. In particular, Lost and Grounded, like Summer is basically sponsored by them. And then I wanted to look at the beers that they make best. So I went to the breweries that I thought would make these styles best, and I think I got it right. I mean, DEYA do make the best IPAs in the country, along with Verdun. But maybe if I had my time again for a West Coast IPA, I might have gone elsewhere, or I might have, I don't know, checked on the yeast that they were using. I don't know. I think that's probably the thing that stopped it being West Coasty. I think it was too juicy a yeast. Well, that's no slight on DEYA. They make the best New England IPAs in the country. But that's how I chose them. They had to be in the book and be amazing at the particular style that I wanted to make. And yeah, these four breweries fit the bill. The ukulele, I play a lot of guitar. I used to be in bands. I love guitar music. And yeah, I haven't found a place for the ukulele. I moved house 3 months ago, and this is what we call the room of shame. So if you could see what's around me, you wouldn't think much of me. So the ukulele's just in the corner for the hell of it. It's probably not tuned, otherwise I'd give you a little tune. Best way to age a barley wine? Cool, dark place, you know? Like all the cliches of every food you ever have. Cool, dark place. Ideally 10 to 12 degrees the whole time in the dark. I wouldn't age any beer, like I said, over 5 years. With this beer at 8.6, I'd give it 2 or 3 years. And I think it's going to really sing in about 2 years' time. We're going to start to get those sherry notes coming out that's going to add acidity and marmalade kind of character to it. It's going to remove some of the sweetness. That's where it's going to be its best. I agree, Andrew. After writing this book, will it change the beers you will choose? Yes, 100%. My entire perspective on beer has changed as a result of writing this book. And I hope that when you read it, it does the same. I now, much more than I ever have, look for the seasonal beers on tap. You know, higher malts, higher ABVs in summer, more emphasis on hops around February, March, April, and around September, October, November for the English hops in the UK. 100%. It's changed everything for me in terms of getting me to drink more styles, and it's where my love of bitters come from, and really interest in porters and all that kind of stuff. Thank you for all the kind comments about this beer. I have a 2017 Oud Gers, been in the fridge since I bought it in early 2020. Best time to drink it is now. 18 months for me is the peak of a good Gers. So depending on when that was in 2018, you're probably just... I know we're in 2021. Drink it now, Ben. Drink it now. And if you think it's great, great. If you don't think it's great, buy another bottle and age it for longer. Wow, it's just skipped a bunch of comments. Burnt Mill for the best Westie in the UK at the moment. Yeah, totally agree. If Get the Gold is to be believed. Where are we? Can I explain the way? What was wrong with the way that Vernon Day and Northern Monk initially responded? So, essentially, what's been happening for the last, well, for the eternity of time, is that the perpetrators are getting away with stuff, and the people who aren't perpetrating these horrible harassment, sexism, ableism, racism, the people that are just around and witnessing this are not listening to the victims. So what happened this week was a bunch of brewers said, we're signed up to pour at this festival. We don't want to not pour at this festival because we paid for tickets. We're friends with lots of breweries over there. It's a great networking event. We're friends with McKellar. It's a great opportunity for our business. We think that just walking away from it isn't any kind of solution. But you had all these people who have been affected by it saying, no, you need to walk away from this fucking festival. Lots of the complaints about McKellar have happened at festivals. These are not safe spaces. There is no consequences for people that don't produce these safe spaces, and you can't be part of the solution if you're part of the problem. And the issue with what these breweries in the UK came up with, which was to still go, but to host a panel and a talk to try and fix things, A, denied that voice to those people saying, please don't go. And B, it was just another fucking panel talk. We've had fucking panel talks for 5-6 years. I've been on them. I've hosted them. I've watched them. Nothing changes. We need external regulation from HR companies or from councillors. We need somebody not at a brewery to run something that means that when people have issues, they can go to those people. And that probably means a union. We need a brewers union, or Unite, who do the hospitality union, need to support breweries, production companies. We can't have the solution being suggested by the fucking perpetrators, which is what was inadvertently suggested by those breweries. They were saying, we're going to have a panel talk not at this festival, but at the same time as this festival in Copenhagen, in which McKellar, a representative of McKellar or Mickle, can stand up and say their piece, because at that point it's the fucking perpetrator telling the victims how he's going to be better. That's fucking outrageous. It's horrific. And to try and say that these victims need to come and listen to this is just insulting. So that's what they got wrong, and they recognized that. I genuinely believe that their intentions were good and they didn't think it through because they were in a rush, because they wanted to justify what they're doing, because they still believe that being there was better. But they got it wrong. They realised, and hopefully now that's a bit of a step change, and they can realise what they did wrong and fix it. Where can we purchase the book from? As a step change, we can book it. You can buy it from Camera, the Campaign for Real Ale bookstore. You can buy it from beer merchants still, and you can still buy some of these beers. I think Gold and Green are sold out, but the other 3 are still in stock. You can buy it from Amazon if you're internationally, but please support local if you can. And you can buy it from Waterstones and some of the sort of the bigger bookshops as well, but I think only online. I think hopefully I'll sell enough on the Waterstones website to get into the physical shops, but we'll have to see. And like I say, please leave a review if you do buy it, because that really helps me sell more books. Any plans to come out East Anglia way? Yeah, well, we'd love to come see Burnt Mill. We were out there very recently with our Crisp video. So we were up in King's Lynn. Was it King's Lynn? I think it's
For which one? Sorry, Crisp.
For the Crisp video.
Yeah, around that way, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, North Norfolk. We were up there, and we did have a plan to make another video at Little Earth about camping, but that it got too cold. I'm still up for it, but I think Brad's a pansy.
Not a pansy.
Not in that hat.
Throwing down the gauntlet, Johnny.
Well, maybe camping in winter will happen. What is a barley wine? Yes, Hector. Yes. So I realised we're running out of time, and I've basically monologued. If I had a cape on, I'd be dead by now. This is in the book, but barley wine is a marketing term used for old ales. So the beers that they used to age in the 19th century to get funky and bretty and mature, and it was sold for more money. When wine started getting big, when gin started getting big, lots of distributors of beer decided we needed to give beer a little marketing lift, I guess. And they started calling it barley wine to compete with wine. That's all it is. So if anybody ever says IPA is a marketing term or cold IPA is a marketing term, just turn around and go, yeah, well, barley wine was in the 19th century. Right, we're running out of time, guys. I'm going to answer 2 more questions. How do I start a union? Great question, Jasper. That is the debate, and that's why the panel talk in Copenhagen would have done fuck all, because the breweries can't start the unions. They're the employers. We need independent people to start a union to make sure that the rights of employees are respected. And there are people, lots of campaigners, lots of wonderful, wonderful people, women, men, non-binary folk, trying to come up with the ultimate independent way of doing this. And I know there's lots of conversations happening. We're not part of those conversations. We're leaving it to those people. But once they've come up with the way that they want it to happen, so long as we agree with the approach, and I'm sure that we will, we'll be throwing all of our weight behind that. There you go. United's a fantastic union. They've done some great stuff for hospitality, and they have a Unite hospitality section. And I really hope that maybe there's a way to bring that into the into the production space as well. Somebody asked, I've lost it, about New England IPA, the best New England IPA producer. Oh, sorry, yes, Jen, Duration. We will visit Duration. We love Bates and Miranda, so we will be doing a video there eventually. I apologize. Somebody asked about the best New England producer in the UK. As far as I'm concerned, it's still Verdant. They still make the best IPAs. The best double IPAs, I think, are probably DEYA. Do you disagree, Brad? Can you think of anyone else I'm missing that it should be up there?
I don't think I disagree with that. No. We've had a couple of super chats come in, Johnny.
Yes. Just before we jump onto that.
Yeah.
Benjamin, unions are greater than HR. HR agrees to back the employers up. Yes. At its simplest, yes. That's why we need unions. However, an external HR company could be a solution or part of the solution. But yeah, internal HR is not necessarily the answer. All companies should have them. And some HR departments can be very good. But I think we've all had issues with HR at companies we worked at. Jonny 99, great job on the book, Johnny. Haven't tried all the beers, but Green and Gold is Brambley goodness. Brambley goodness. Happy with that. Not the Earth Conkers wet leaves. Well, I like wet leaves. I think that's about right. Yeah. Actually, West Coast IPA, Cloudwater made some great ones. Andy's just reminded me. Cloudwater do great New England IPAs, but I also think they do great West Coast IPAs as well. When are we coming to Leuven? There you go. If you're near Leuven, go to Hopson Moor. We'd love to come. You know, Brad's never been to Belgium.
Not with the Craft Beer Channel, but I have been to Belgium.
Oh, you have been to Belgium?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
To Bruges and Zeebrugge.
Well, we will be coming to Belgium, absolutely. It's been a long time since we were there with the Craft Beer Channel, so that will be happening 100%. We've had another super chat. Outside of beer, look at the IWGB as an amazing recently founded union, the Independent Workers of Great Britain. Oh, fantastic, for the gig economy. Okay, well, that's amazing. I mean, obviously, before any of the issues with craft beer cropped up, the gig economy they were one of the great exploited sectors. So that's amazing that that's been founded, and I really hope that that's going to make a big difference. And absolutely, the people that I know who are having those conversations, I'm sure they're on top of that, but I will point them in the direction of the IWGB, so they can have a look at that and see if that's something that can work for the beer market. Right, we're 45 minutes over time.
We missed a super chat from Andrew Ramage before we.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh God, yes. Damn you guys, 4 beers on a school night. Yeah, Andrew. Good job working from home. Exactly. Get up at 8:30. You can have a shower, a coffee, and breakfast, and be at your desk at 9. That's basically my life. Is regretting the night before and showering and having breakfast and coffee in half an hour. So I believe the term is hashtag sorry not sorry. I mean, there's still so many questions coming in. I'm so sorry we can't answer all of these. We do have to go. It's been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you guys tonight. Thank you so much for supporting the book and the channel. All the super chats have blown my mind. I think that's the most we've had in a session, so I really appreciate that. So yeah, please buy the book, keep supporting the channel, and keep obviously supporting ethical retailers and brewers. This sentence here, we're at 31 shows in. For 25 shows, I think it said support independent, and we shifted that because we genuinely believe that not all independent retailers and brewers are good, and not all non-independent retailers and brewers are bad. And I think we need to just recognize nothing is black and white, and to support the independent retailers and brewers that deserve our support. So please do that. There's some amazing people working in the craft beer industry, in the hospitality industry, in the farming industry, all of these industries that encompass craft beer. And they really need our support more than ever in this world. So please support those people. Please support people that are campaigning for those people and the rights of the workers and the people who want to enjoy it, and keep drinking all kinds of delicious and varied styles, which is at the end of the day what this book is about. It was me trying to get outside of my bubble, and I hope it helps you guys. Thanks so much, Josh, for one more super chat. Keep doing what you're doing. I hope Mellor Brewing is a huge success, and it's a lot of fun. And yeah, I hope you really enjoyed tonight, and that you enjoy the book and have a wonderful month. We'll hopefully be back for at least one more live show this year. I think that should happen. And we will be back on Wednesday for quite the adventure. Bradley, tell them what's in store in Margate.
Mate, you're in for a treat, honestly. If you don't know what micropubs are as a concept, buckle up, because you're going to be deep diving into very unique places full of little weirdos. It's where I feel most comfortable in a pub environment is in a micropub, hanging out with lots of characters and stuff. So it's a real, it's close to my heart, this one.
Yeah, and Brad is front of camera way more than me in this episode. So if you love Brad, he's not wearing a great hat. I don't think you're wearing a hat, but
I'm not wearing any hats. No.
But it's all Brad. So enjoy that, and thank you so much for all your support and for coming tonight. And we will see you for another live show soon, or in Margate on Wednesday. Love and beer.
Love and beer.